But it was not your fault but mine, and it was your heart on the line.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Special thing tonight, we have the Girl Scouts with us, and so one of the Girl Scouts, Kennedy, is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So Kennedy, stand up and come up to the microphone.
You guys can come up with it.
Hello, okay.
Is it on? It is.
Hello? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kennedy, thank you very much. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Dayton?
Here.
Councilmember Grossman? Here. Councilmember Menon?
Here.
Councilmember Michaels?
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Mayor Zena?
Here. Okay, the first business tonight is a presentation from Girl Scout Troop 96970 about the little free library that they communicated to us about. So come on up. Come up, speak to the microphones. First thing you want to do is give us your name and address, and we're all ears. And thank you for being here tonight.
My name is Kennedy Rose John.
Speak into the mic.
My name is Kennedy Rose John of Troop 96970. And I was
Try this one over here. I think it's always better for some reason.
Hello?
Better.
My name is Kennedy Rose John, Troop of 96970.
Hi, I'm Fiona Powers. I'm from also Troop 96970.
And good day. My name is Lucretia Jean. I am the troop leader of 96970. Also a Tenafly resident. In your packet, everyone has information on our Bronze Award that the troop has completed during the pandemic. So as a community relations coordinator with the Bergen County Executive Office, troop leader of 96970, and a lifetime Girl Scout member and leader, it is proud, we are so proud of our Bronze Award that we have completed in 2019-2020. It is our hope to teach girls, to bridge gaps, to build partnerships, explore ways to empower others and our diverse communities. So today, part of assisting with reading literacy, we hope that the borough of Tenafly shares the same sentiment. With that said, then, because they're cadet Girl Scouts now, but then they were junior Girl Scouts, they completed the Little Free Library as their Bronze Award. That's the highest honor that any Girl Scout junior could achieve in Girl Scouts. During the pandemic, we were delayed with the installation. So we're asking for your help to register, to have our registered Little Free Library nestled somewhere near a park or near one of the schools, particularly McKay Elementary, because my son went to McKay, and they're currently at the middle school. So anywhere nestled between the park, the middle school, or the elementary school. We do have a video here to show you their works, but we put in the back of the paper that everyone received a picture as well as workshops that the young girls have taken during this time in their journey. In our troop, we have a few young ladies, and we have two today, and they're just going to speak about some of the pieces that they may need. Kennedy?
Thank you.
As I said, I'm Kennedy Rose John. We need your help to support and install the library. We hope to foster literacy in our community and offer access to
A
everyone.
little closer to the mic.
And offer access to everyone. We are dedicated from leadership sessions and workshops with Home Depot and leaders and volunteers to help us build our 2 little free libraries. Due to COVID, we were delayed, but we're not done. We need your help with the installment and the post placement.
We will need help to post the poles, install them in the ground, and drill the official charter, which provides the registered library number and information. We will need 2 4x4x8 treated lumber posts. 3 feet go underground, 3 feet above ground, with 2 extra feet get cut off to make a 90-degree angle support, plus exterior screws are needed.
Thank you. That ends our presentation. As we mentioned, we do have a video that we can send if needed that speaks towards their journey, their placement of making the little free libraries, as well as the architect that assists them, which is one of our Girl Scout dads, as well as others that helped us along this journey.
So thank you for your presentation. I saw a printed copy of the email with the links to the video.
Yes.
Does someone here, do we have, Dan, an actual, we do have the email that we can link to it? Okay, perfect. Council members have questions? Go ahead, Lauren, then Jeff.
First, I want to say thank you both for being here. It takes a lot of courage to come out and do public speaking, so very nice job, both of you. I was a Girl Scout, I was a Brownie, so I never followed through all the way until getting, a bronze award, but congratulations on that. That's really a very high achievement. You should be very proud of your efforts. I love their little free libraries. During the pandemic, we put books all over into, I think Cresco had one and one of the other surrounding towns, and my kids and I dropped off books. So I'd love to do that here in Tenafly. What I was thinking is putting it somewhere on this municipal property because it's close to the library. And while our library takes some donations, it doesn't take all. And that way kids can come in this area and know this is an area for books. But I'm just throwing that idea out.
Jeff?
Yeah, I also want to second. Just phenomenal. And I'm a teacher of 8th grade, and I wish my students would have half the courage to come up and speak in front of their own peers. So this is excellent. So in considering the site, the one thing we have to think about, if you want near McKay, and I understand why, we'd have to think about whether it's town or Board of Ed property. So, for example, if you want it on McKay, you have to ask the Board of Ed because we can't tell them what to do. If, however, you want it either, as Councilmember Dayton says, over here, or even across the street, there's Griffin Park, which is, so on, I believe this side of Griffin Park, and Griffin Park is borough-owned.
It is, yes.
So we would be able to have it there. So that was my only comment, is that we're limited in where we can say yes to. I will emphatically say yes, as long as it's on borough property. Excellent, excellent suggestion.
Questions or comments from other council members?
I would just agree that Griffin Park was the first place that came to my mind.
And so all the council members in favor of this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's a direct correlation between the speed and efficiency of a presentation and how quickly you can get to a yes. So congratulations and thank you very much. All right, you want to put up 2 of these, of the libraries?
Correct.
2
We
of
need
them.
the lumber, and we do have the books, and we have a connection where we can fill books too. And the girls have committed to come once a quarter to make sure that they're refilling as well.
Okay, perfect. So we're fortunate enough that the Director of the Public Works, Michael Cassidy, is here. Michael, will you be able to make this all happen? Okay, wonderful. So that's perfect. So what I'm going to recommend is to be in communication with Jimmy, our borough administrator, and then you can work out suggestions for the locations and work out all those details. And to the other council members' points of what's borough property, what's not borough property, we'll work out the details. And do you have their contact information?
As long as this is the best contact on the sheet, yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're all good to go. Any other questions?
Yes, Once we have that all set up, would we be able to have a ribbon cutting set up for the girls?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a great idea.
That's my favorite part of it. We even have scissors. Okay? Any other questions, ladies? No? Okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, the next presentation is branding and wayfinding recommendations. How you doing, gentlemen? Yeah, let's use this microphone over here. I think it works much better.
Okay.
If you could tell us a little, your names, quick introduction, that sort of thing.
Okay. My name is Stephen Aquino. I'm with Giovanni Advertising, located in Paramus, New Jersey. This is Jason Lachuk. I'm an account executive with the firm, and Jason is our creative director. And we're here to present the creative concepts for the Town of Tenafly's revitalization program. We have a bunch of slides to get through. We want to get through quickly. You have a copy, I believe, in front of you.
I think we all do.
And I'm going to let
And it's on the
Jason-
screen right behind you also.
Right. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity. It's been great working with the team, the steering committee with the town. And we put a lot of work into this, and we think we produced some really good stuff. So we're excited to get your feedback and see how things go moving forward.
Okay?
Okay? And any questions you have, please don't hesitate to jump in.
Well, I'm hoping I'm as concise as the Girl Scouts were, so let's get going. First, I want to say this was a wonderful project to work on. My team was very excited when we got this opportunity. We talked to residents. We worked with the realization board. We visited the town multiple times, and I'm going to say, you have a very special town. We felt like the history. We saw all the nature, the parks. It's a beautiful town, and we're very excited to present this to you today. So, why should we brand a town? Branding a town is like any other business. You have competitors. You're competing against other towns for residents, for businesses, for traffic. So branding a town does many things. It helps residents form deeper relationships while increasing town pride and overall happiness.
Can you just, when you're on a slide, mention the page number?
I'm sorry.
Those that are on.
I'm sorry. Slide 3, please. I'm going to skip around since we've all seen the presentation before.
But also, can I just say, just talk into the mic because it's recording for our public out there.
Gotta get really close, huh?
There you go.
Okay. So, branding a town helps form deeper relationships between the residents and the town itself, while increasing overall town happiness. It entices new businesses to the area based on increased commerce. The project projects a desirable image of the town as a place people want to live, work, and visit, helps current businesses thrive by attracting new customers to the area while invigorating old and lost customers. And overall, it beautifies and unifies the town with overall aesthetic look. So if you go to slide 4 real quick, how are we going to achieve this? We took a 3-step approach. First, we identified what makes Tenafly special. Then we created a cohesive brand based on all the feedback and we got from the board that we worked with, from residents, from influencers of the town itself, and we proposed how to execute on this with some signage and wayfinding signs, parking signs, etc. We can probably skip down to page 9. Creating brand pillars. Now, brand pillars are part of any creative process. These are the key elements that we take away from every project and use to infuse into all our creative we make. Tenafly was no different. We, again, working with many, many different residents, we concluded that Tenafly has 3 big, major selling points that separates it from other towns. Slide 10, please. Tenafly has the environmental angle, natural beauty. That's our first pillar. Between the sunsets, the hills, the parks, the brooks, the trees, the palisades, everything. It's just a beautiful, overall, natural, environmental area. And it needs to be highlighted more to attract more people to it. Slide 11, please. The people. Tenafly has a diverse, great community of people. They're active, they're forward-thinking, they're excited, and they're prideful of their town. All very important things, and the people also need to be celebrated in this rebrand. If you turn to page 12, please. And finally, our third and final brand pillar is the charm. This is what we see all around us. It's the historic landmarks, which I think are just gorgeous. The architecture, all the restaurants, the festive nature, the vibrant feeling that you get just walking through downtown itself. Tons of potential, tons of charm, and again, this needs to be loud, shouted to everyone. So if you go to page 13, what makes Tenafly? Our three brand pillars. It's charm, natural beauty, and the community. Page 14, so what does our brand pillars tell us about Tenafly? Go to the next slide, page 15. Tenafly is, according to our assumption, based on everything that we've researched, talked to people with, a vibrant town surrounded by natural beauty with a local charm that attracts an active, forward-thinking community. Next slide, please. So taking all that into account, we developed a tagline for the town. We went through multiple versions, hundreds of different taglines itself. Based on all the feedback we received, we all agreed and landed upon this one tagline as the sum up of all that intro I just gave you. 17, please. Tenafly, explore, enrich, enjoy. Next page, 18. So just to break down these three words for you. Explore. We want to invite people, both residents and visitors, to get lost in the beautiful natural surroundings of Tenafly. See the parks, see the architecture, see the historic relevance of everything. Enrich. We want to invite people to enrich themselves in our multicultural, vibrant community and learn the significance of the fascinating history and past of Tenafly. And finally, enjoy. Spend quality time and have fun with family and friends in our charming parks, streets, shops, restaurants, whether you're visiting for the day or a lifelong resident. Explore, enrich, enjoy. Any questions so far? Okay. So we're moving on to the logos. I have three logos to present for you here right now. So if we turn to page 20, here is logo option 1. And here you can see it locked up with our tagline, explore, enrich, enjoy. If you notice, the logo itself is based off the historic and iconic train station down in downtown Tenafly. We have a nice negative space of the T representing Tenafly. Locked up to the name itself, we have the year 1894, which is very important to show the historic factor that Tenafly is. And our tagline, explore, enrich, enjoy. Okay. We can skip over to page 22. This is logo option number 2. This is a more simplified version. We have we have the train station with the knocked out negative space T. We have a little element in front of it representing land, water, we're pulling in the natural beauty of the town into this element. And again, our lockup with our name, year, and tagline. And finally, if we go to page 24, please. This is the simplest version of it. It's just the simplified version of the building with the punched out T. No nature element in this one.
Can you just show the first version again?
Sure.
Just real quick.
This is the most detailed version that we have. It really mimics the train station with the windows, the arching windows, the steeple. This has gotten the best overall response from everything that everyone who's seen this presentation before.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we can skip down to page 26. The colors. So we created two different color palettes as an option for our logos. We turn to page 27. Our first color palette is based on blues and greens. We call it Trust and Grow. It portrays sophistication, nature, and ambition. And it's invitation for success and exploration. These are all very nice, modern colors that stand out. They're muted blues and greens, and with a white base. So that is logo option one. Color palette option one. Next page, please. Color palette option 2, strength and community. This stands for togetherness, consistency, and it's bold. It suggests local pride and passion. We picked up some of Tenafly's colors that you're using already. We used a gray, a slate gray, and the orange that many residents are comfortable seeing within the town itself already, not to stray too far from where you are today. Any questions on the colors?
I don't think so. No, keep
Okay,
moving.
great. Next page, page 29. Here is logo option 1 built out in our 2 color palettes. On the left is our Trust and Grow. On the right, our Strength and Community. Next page, please. Here's some signage mock-ups. We have our identifying signs and banners. We have some wayfinding signs and parking signs. This is the build-out color in the Strength and Community. It's the slate gray backing with the orange pop on it. We think they really stand out, pretty sharp. Page 31. And here's the build-out in our other color, the Trust and Grow. These are the green and blue colors. Next page. And here's 2 mock-ups of the signs actually in an environment. Okay. Next page, please. Logo option 2 in our 2 color build-outs. Next page, please. Here is the Strength and Community color palette on the signage with logo option 2. Next page. And our Trust and Grow color palette with logo option 2. And finally, next page. Once again, in the real world environment. And finally, next page, logo option 3 in our 2 colors. Want to make sure everyone saw all the options. Next page, please. Here's our Strength and Community colors. Next page. Trust and Grow. And finally, execution 3 in the real world mock-up. Any questions?
Questions, anyone so far? No?
Yes.
Julie, go ahead, please.
Hi. I want to thank you for the work. I think it's really...
Can't hear you, Julie.
Sorry. I just wanted to thank you for the work. It looks really comprehensive, and it's given me a good picture of the options. I did just want to ask regarding the signs in all the mock-ups. There seems to always be like a black background or, a very dark background. Is that what most towns or signs is that what most people are doing lately? Because I have to say, my first impression is, boy, this is very dark. So I but I'm not an expert on this stuff.
There are darker backgrounds. It helps the lettering and words pop off it more. Plus, in the long run, they're easier to keep clean, too.
Is that what? Because my first thought was okay, well, if it was a lighter background and then you outlined the letters in black, but I just wasn't sure if people are just doing these black signs.
We find the darker backgrounds are easy to read at a distance for people.
Okay. All right, that's my question. Thanks.
Yes.
Lauren, go ahead.
Gorgeous job.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. And I really think you captured the essence of our town. So thank you for all that work to create.
Thank you. It's been a 4-month, 5-month journey in Tenafly. I know it's been phenomenal, actually. Enjoyed it.
I find the all-cap font easier to read from far away.
Yes.
And can you interchange that with the more elaborate graphic of the train station in option 1? Can you flip the fonts? So I kind of like the modern feel of that block writing. I think it's very easy to read. I think when you're driving, it's nice and easy and clear. You know, I said, like, we're driving past all these signs.
Yes.
Very few people walk, although maybe with wayfinding they might.
Yes.
But I love the train station. I love the detail. You've really captured the historic nature, and I don't want to lose that. At the same time, the nice modern font is very clear.
Yes.
Would that be too juxtaposed?
All these, we landed, we want to give you the best options all around. So we like all our fonts, we like all our logo options. Now it's just, you know, finding the right mix of the two. We felt that this older, this first font in option 1 had a little more traditional feel to it, which we did want to play up the brand pillar of the history of the charm. And that is why we kept that one, and opposed to the more modern fonts in the other 2 build-outs.
One of the folks from the HBC, we shared this with a number of people.
Yeah.
One of the folks from the HBC said the same thing, which is connecting it to, like, that T looks, you know, pretty similar to this T.
Yeah.
So there's a balance of, yes, we want progress, we all want to progress, but let's not progress too much type thing. So it harkens back
To that T in our
exactly.
logo.
That was the intention of the T.
They're both beautiful, and I'm fine with either. I'm just asking.
No, understood.
Jeff, what
I love it.
are your thoughts?
To Councilmember Dayton's point, maybe to see it with that font, just so we can get a sense.
Yes, so we can definitely, whatever the council like to see, we can definitely mock up.
But I gotta tell you, I love that first one, that first option. And at first, when I saw the colors, this was last week or whenever we first saw it, I was worried about the green with the green foliage. But then I realized that we only have green foliage a certain amount of the year, and other times of the year we have orange foliage. So in fall, I don't know what would happen, because I thought this washes out a little bit, but in fall, the other might wash out a little bit. So
I think with the darker background too, all the secondary colors will pop off. So I think it will be easier to read. I think they will stand out.
So my question is actually more to the material, if you can talk about that, of the signs,
The signs.
signage.
Yes. All right. So the signs are high-grade aluminum materials, stainless steel hardware. The posts are all buried in 36-inch and buried with concrete, so they can stand any wind, weather, climate. There you have a powder-coated finish with minimal maintenance with a non-abrasive cleaner. So the non-abrasive cleaner can just wipe it right up. And these signs are used throughout all the United States and even internationally. So they're tested and they stand up against all different, you know, cold, hot, wind, snow, rain. So there are very strong, sturdy signs.
So if somebody, not here in Tenafly, it wouldn't happen, but if somebody were to use some spray paint to get creative, it will wash off easily?
To my understanding, yes.
I'm sorry?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay, your understanding. All right. And what would you expect the life expectancy of these signs to be?
20 years,
20 years?
25 years.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to fade over time like anything else, but
That's
it's
why I
the highest
asked it.
grade die-cut aluminum, so we went with quality.
Disconnected, ready to air.
Well, it doesn't show up any, you know, the whites tend to pick up, you know, any things.
No, otherwise, very, very nice job. And I do like picking up that T. And the Dutch are going to be angry at us forever and ever for losing the Dutch symbols, but they're not around to, they don't own this property anymore.
We were actually trying to research why the windmill was there, and we didn't really find too much information.
Well, Dutch symbol and the fact that this was part of New Netherlands and settled by the Dutch first, and this was all Dutch colonial.
Thank you. I'll tell my art director. He's been going nuts wondering that. My art director's been going nuts wondering what that is for, so I'll have to fill him in.
A lot of the homes have Dutch construction, like some of the older 1800s homes. I have one.
Yeah.
My whole basement's Dutch construction, and it's pretty historic.
Well, the history of the town is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
got a really rich history, and we did enjoy diving into, at least superficially.
And the name,
Sorry.
oh, just one more thing, the name Tenafly is a Dutch 10 swamps. It's in
Yes,
Dutch.
10 swaps. We
Yeah,
did see
so-
that.
So
Yes.
it's Flemish, Dutch? Dutch.
Is there consensus on which logo is best from the council's perspective?
First one.
It sounds like everyone likes the detail of the railroad station.
I do.
Is that accurate?
And then color, consensus on the color?
Let's go Tigers.
Go ahead, Dan, what did you say?
Tenafly Tigers.
Orange and, I think everyone likes the orange.
Do you want
Go
to
ahead.
take,
Okay, so wait a minute, hold on, too many people talking. What did you say, Adam, and then Julie?
Well, I was going to say person by person, right?
So Adam, Julie?
no, I just wanted to see if, I know some members of the.
Sure, of course, we'll do that. But first, let's finish hearing for Adam, Julie.
I'm here what to say.
We're going to, we're going to.
We were talking about the color scheme, so Dan wanted orange and black. I just want to hear what all council people.
I'm saying, I want to hear what the downtown committee
We're going to do that.
discussed
So who would
before-
like,
Before I decide.
okay, who would like to weigh it? Then come up to the mic. You have to come to the microphone.
It has to get recorded.
And you have to tell us who you are, Jamie, and where you live.
Jamie Corsair, 92 Woodland Street, and I'm part of the downtown committee. And I just think it's important, it's not just like what aesthetically you like, it's also what makes the most sense on a marketing standpoint. So I think like you have to start thinking that way a little bit more, and I think it's important that orange is a thread to this whole town, like it connects the school to the downtown, and it's already a color that people are connected to. So instead of starting from scratch with new colors that nobody is really connected to, you have a color that already stands for passion and pride. So I just caution you guys from moving away from that because you don't love that color. It's not my favorite color, but it's a color that, for me, makes so much sense for this whole campaign. So that's the only thing I have to say there.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the downtown committee wanted to make a comment? Sure, of course.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. Jonathan Krieger, the new president of the
You got to give us
chamber.
your name and your address.
163 Highwood Avenue, Tenafly, New Jersey. So we got the privilege of looking at it beforehand, and we love the orange for a lot of reasons. It pops, and a lot of our agenda in the coming year is to bring attention and awareness to the town, to the downtown. We could talk more about other initiatives later, but I think you guys did an amazing job, and it's super exciting, and it gives us a central point to sort of unify around and to move forward in terms of our own agendas, connecting the businesses across a central brand, which is critical for a downtown, obviously. But that pop and that distinguishing factor of the orange, I think is, and again, like Jamie already said, it resonates with the town. It shows up everywhere. So. The what? Yeah, right, exactly. The rec program, the springs right behind the rec center. You see that show up there. So it's exciting. So thanks.
Christine, did you want to make a comment? Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Name and address.
Really? Christine Evron, 39 Leroy Street. Hi. Thank you very much. I love the first logo. I also was very excited about the blue and green. It's the color that's been used on signposts throughout Tenafly since I came here. I did feel that it was a very, very modern selection of colors for what is, in essence, a historic town, and I found that very jarring. Also, only one of my 3 kids went to Tenafly High School. We have only 20% of our households go to school here. The other 4% just support them with their taxes. So I feel that that's targeted at a very, although I like the impact of orange and black, that it's targeted towards a very small section of our community. I was concerned about mostly, though, the tie towards the historic charming part. And that just seemed like your first selection, the green and blue, was a much more modern selection. Can you just speak to that a bit?
Sure. The green and blue is a more modern color palette. We kept the historic angle with the town, with the train station. That's where we're tying the train station to keep our historic roots. But the green and blue is a more modern selection of colors. The orange color is actually an orange and slate. It's a slate gray, as not to pull directly from the high school. We wanted to be reminiscent but not imitate it 100%. So it's a slate gray and the orange. So we're keeping the orange as the tradition of the town and the slate gray as a new color as opposed to black to not be so tied to the high school for the residents who do not attend the high school or have children who attend the high school.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Lauren.
So have you had other towns use a red or orange, and is it readable when you drive past? I mean, I'm pretty indifferent on the colors. I like them both, truthfully. They're beautifully done. Like I said, we're sitting here from here trying to see. I can't read either the green or the orange from back here, so I'm just asking, in your experience in other places.
We feel these colors do stand out and easy to view.
Okay,
Yes.
I mean, I think the orange is easier to see, but I'm just,
I mean, it also depends on TV resolution. I mean,
okay,
you know,
in real life, it'll be,
I think the signs would be a little bit
Yeah.
bigger in real life. I would hope.
I drive fast.
There's also banners, too, that we proposed for
Yes.
signage, which
Yeah,
will
we're
look
gonna-
very nice
So let's
on
just
the
get
lamppost.
So,
consensus.
yeah,
We
so-
we could get consensus, and then just the last part you need to get to is share with the team your
Right.
recommendations for
So,
signage.
so do we have,
Oh,
go ahead, Lauren, you have another question?
I do. Can we, the beautiful train station logo, can that be made bigger?
in that execution, we have, if you turn to page,
And then we could debate the colors.
30, we do have the train station in different sizes based on the execution of the banner or the.
What page are we on?
That would be 30.
Okay.
So in other words, you're saying is you can play around with the size of the station?
Yes, we can, but we do have it in different, executions of size based on the execution of the element we're building with.
So do we have a consensus from the council on the design of the train station being the more architecturally detailed
Yes.
version? I think we all like that, right?
It's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, so how are we, let's just go around the table in terms of the colors. Dan, what's your?
Tigers.
Say it again?
Tenafly Tigers.
Go Tigers, right? Jeff?
I'm mixed feeling because growing up here, conflating the schools and the town is kind of an interesting approach. However, I don't see much downtown that's orange currently, and to tie it together would be definitely an approach. Green, in other words, I'm really not wedded to either. They're both interesting choices. I might have thrown in, at least the white of the Tenafly fits in with some of our history because the Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of the top women suffragettes, white was the color of the suffrage movement. Unfortunately, the other color was purple, which does not fit anything. But
All right,
You know his color's purple.
stay focused, stay
which
focused.
does not fit with this.
I
So
pushed very hard for purple. They would not go for it.
that would have been the
tried.
argument
You know I
as
would've
it
tried.
ties into our
Suffragettes,
history, the
yes.
suffragettes. Yellow actually is the other color for suffrage movement. That's why we have a discussion up here.
So you like both?
I like both. Had we been presented with more colors, I probably would have liked them too, but apparently we're not.
All right. Lauren, you're,
So I am not in the business of advertising, branding, marketing, but people on our downtown committee are, and I so thank them for those professional input and discussions with these professionals. So I'm going to defer to our downtown committee, which is recommending to us with consistency to brand the town orange and black.
Benu?
I think so I haven't spoken yet about any aspect of this, but I think the logo, I agree with everyone. I like the first logo better. In terms of the colors, I find the green is a good color, except it's very muted and very I just wonder if there are other versions of green, or if there's in terms of like a yellow or a gold or something that might be also that would catch and that might have some relevance to the town. But sorry. So in terms of the colors, I'm relatively indifferent. Whatever the majority agree to, I think it's fine. I personally am not crazy about any of the fonts, any of the lettering. So that's where I have a problem with. But everything else I think is fine.
Adam?
First of all, again, thank the whole community, and thank you for Giovanni. I like both colors. The majority of the feedback that I've been getting, I actually shared with the Recreation Board last night. Jamie was very excited that the connection and bringing recreation in with the rest of the town. So they said orange as well, so I'll go with orange.
Julie?
Orange and black.
So I like the, I'm partial, they both look great, but I lean towards the orange also. I like the consistency, and I like Jamie's comments. I think, goes to why we're doing something, right?
So super quick, if I could just ask the Giovanni team to share, obviously, this was a fun paper exercise until you execute on it. I just asked the Giovanni team to share their recommendations on signage, and then if I could ask our CFO, Susan, to just share, she's had a chance to speak with the Giovanni team and figure out how best to fund it, that'd be great.
So I have one question before you start with that, gentlemen. Do you both have clarity on what the council's view of the color, the typeface, which design of the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Go ahead, Susan, you want to come up and say hello?
Can I ask another question? Do
Of
we have
course.
a sense of how many signs we have existing?
You currently have in town?
Because that would help us budget.
Also, so two things. One, they have a recommendation on what they're proposing, and then Councilman Park gets credit, and I've already shared with the Giovanni team. If there is a way to take some of the existing posts from the signs that we're not using and accidentally use them for our existing stuff, every 2 posts saves us some money, right? So, and I've asked the Giovanni team to think through that as well.
That would be helpful to afford more signs.
Susan, go ahead.
Okay, so I reviewed the package that you presented. Your presentation was really wonderful. And I looked through your presentation and saw that they came up with a cost of almost $150,000 to do the wayfinding and branding for the town. I looked back at what the council had agreed to previously when, I think it was on August 18th, I might not have the right date, but you had gone through an extensive list from BFJ where you picked which items you wanted to move forward on, and one of them was branding, signage, and the marketing program. Then you adopted an ordinance, 2203, where we have allocated previously a total of $50,000 for striping, signage, downtown marketing program, signage, and banners. In order to complete this project, the governing body would need to adopt an ordinance for $115,000, and that would cover all of this phase, plus we would supplement that with the previous ordinance, which started with the $50,000.
You said 115?
115 is what I believe you would need.
What's the additional above the 149?
It's 20, well, because you had in phase two, 10,000, another 5,000, in phase two is 15,000, in phase three is 115,000. You didn't adopt an ordinance to cover those other two items already. So I didn't want you to do an incomplete job. You need to cover all the aspects of this project.
So you actually said striping in there, Susan. Sorry, do you mind if I just ask a follow-up?
Go ahead, of course. No, this is the time.
You said striping, which actually is traffic striping on our roads so that we can have safe crossings. Do we have an estimate for that?
So we'd have to get an estimate on that, and the reason why I incorporated striping is because when I believe when we look to go out to bid on this, we have to follow the ordinance that was already written.
Right,
And,
that's what I'm asking.
and to comply with that ordinance, it is 25,000 for striping and signage, and that's why I said 115,000 too. So you'd have a total of 165,000, and you'd have to do some striping with that.
Can you do us a favor? Would you please check with the chief and the traffic division and see what, what the costs are for striping? They have those.
Yes, we would have to find that out.
Okay. So essentially, for the public who's listening, if you cross the street, we would make new crosswalks, new painted lines.
And then if you did this, you would complete number 6 in its entirety.
Other questions from council members? Go ahead, Dan.
I should be able to.
Can I see that? I'll give it back. I just want to say thank you. I'm just going to say, look at it.
Any other questions from council members for Susan?
So,
Go ahead.
Susan, if we don't do this amount of signs, is there an option to do it in phases, or it's better to do it in one phase? Because we have the resolution.
You shouldn't really do things in piecemeal, which,
Okay.
Everybody has tended to do.
Yeah, do it on the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
If you're going to do the project, I think you should do the project and not do it in piecemeal.
So what's the next step here? You have to go, you keep coming away from the microphone, and we want to keep talking to you.
I like it. Dan took her papers.
She's going Dan's stealing her papers.
Those are mine.
So what are the next steps, Susan? Dan?
The next step would be to introduce an ordinance, if the governing body agrees, on March 21st.
There would also be the need to prepare bid specs.
Of course.
Yeah, you have to, and I could help with that, because there's like a few tasks in there that we would want to incorporate into the bid
So that's
specs.
what we want to do tonight, right? To ask the.
We want consensus to, right,
Consensus
correct.
to ask the administration to put together the bid stuff.
And the ordinance.
Yes, all the things necessary for the next step.
It would be very helpful, by the way, if somebody went around town and counted signs. Like, I don't know if we're under.
Well, no, that's a 100% valid question, and I think, Jimmy, we
The other
need to
thing,
get
though,
that
is
done.
it's not, my personal rules are, you just don't just repeat the same thing over and
No,
again.
agreed.
The
Like, see
professionals
what
are
we
saying,
need. Yeah.
This is what they recommend.
Okay.
I'm making up the number. If there's 30 here and we have 35, maybe we don't need 35. If there's 30 and there's 25, maybe we need more than 25. I trust this team to tell us.
Right, but it's a question, it's a comparison question, right? So it's a data point. We can deliver that data point easily. So
also-
Jimmy will take care of that.
We hope to combine signs so that one larger sign has various wayfinding points.
Yes.
And so we don't have anything like that now, which, again, is the purpose of this exercise. So I would be very curious, in a professional sense, what you'd recommend with more specificity. If we have a larger sign, 2 or 3 downtown that points you nature center, recreation center, borough hall, et cetera, maybe we need only one, and we don't need various. If you think we need a couple of, different ones in the corners of our town, I'd want to know. Okay.
Okay, so Susan and Jimmy, we have clarity on this? Everyone knows what the next steps are? Okay? Thank you both.
When you refer to counting of the signs, I don't know that the quote was intended to replace all the signs that
Right,
exist in the town.
agreed.
So you have to identify which ones you do want to replace and count those to compare with what's
Correct.
proposed.
Right, correct. So we need to establish how many signs do we have now? how many signs are proposed, and then we can make decisions about, maybe it turns out that you're proposing 25 signs and we only have 24, and it's a non-issue. We just need, as a council, to have that data point.
And just one other thing, the counts and quantities were based on the end state of the revitalization. So what you have today might not be what is going to be once the revitalization is done.
And we could always add signs.
You could.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you both
Really great
very
work.
much. We
Thank you
appreciate
to the
all your
whole
hard
team.
work.
It was absolutely
Thank you.
a fantastic job, really.
Appreciate it. It was a great project.
I'm so excited about this.
I want to stay involved any way we can. It's a great to work with.
You really captured Tenafly. Thank you. You took the time.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda to be considered the 2023 Riverside Co-op Road Paving.
Oh.
And where is it? Oh, there's Andy. Andy, come to the microphone and tell us who you are, as always. What?
Great, how you doing?
Well, we do it by engineering reasons. Well, we'll talk about that. Andy, name.
Andy Hippolyte, Borough Engineer.
How you doing, Andy?
I'm great, Mayor. How you doing?
Good. Everyone's good tonight. What are we going to talk about with the roads?
So I think if you probably have in front of you is you have a map and a list of recommended roads for the 2023 Riverside Cooperative. That was a map that was generated between myself and Mike Cassidy. So we each put together a list, then referred to the paving program, the 10-year paving program. Kind of checked it off, kind of made sure that we were spreading it out throughout the town, and also made sure we were hitting, we'll call it red roads on the list, if you remember the discussion of red roads. The estimate we came up with was $1.4 million. I will tell you that the pricing that we're seeing so far this year is actually lower. We're seeing some favorable pricing. We're seeing asphalt in some cases as low as $60 a ton, which is unheard of with the gas prices we have. I don't know where it's going to come in. I think this is a reasonable one to bid. I think you'll come in probably closer to $1 million, but I don't know until you bid it. It depends how many other towns in the cooperative add in roads. So if the bid's $4 or $5 million, the price of asphalt will come way down because labor is efficiency. If less towns are in and put a road or two in, then it's going to be a higher price. In the last 3 or 4 years, you've been the highest dollar value in the program.
Helping everyone else.
You're definitely helping everybody else, but hopefully they all come in and help you out and get 1 or 2 roads in. You know, you have 8 or 10 roads on here. If we get another 8 or 10, that together, it's the old together everybody achieves more, a team effort. So this is quick. You don't have a lot of time. They want to be out to bid literally in a few weeks. So
Vanu's got the first question, but I'm just going to ask a preliminary one in terms of how did you and Michael get to this list?
tried to do it independently at first. So I picked the list, he picked the list. We compared our 2 lists, met a couple of times either on the phone or virtually, and then we came up with this list. And we did compare it with the map that you have. The map kind of shows where we are and what we had.
Okay. Vanu, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I know that, so you're saying that the 1.4 that you've suggested may actually be, say, like 1 million.
Correct. I believe it's based on the prices we're seeing so far this year. I think this is going to be high.
I'm just wondering. Hello? Okay. Yeah, so I know where we were also, as a council, we were talking about doing sidewalks in certain parts of town. Does it make sense or can we combine them together?
Not in this. The Riverside Cooperative also has a separate program where they do sewer repairs and emergency repairs and sidewalk and curb. Once you budget a number, we'll present that to them, and then they'll come in at their prices and do it for you.
Right.
So you come up with a dollar figure, and then we'll back it into a linear foot price for sidewalk.
So in terms of the sidewalks, that wouldn't be something.
You have time.
So
You have
that
time.
would have to be separate.
Correct.
I mean, I might just suggest that we look into maybe lowering the amount of the roads program so that we can accommodate some of the sidewalks that we were talking about. But I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Guys, for the council.
Go ahead, please, Andy.
In the cooperative, and this is a point that we struggle with every year in every town. You're going to put a number in, and you're not stuck to that number. The way the cooperative specs are written is this is what you're putting in, you're getting your bid price. You're allowed to increase or decrease the amount of roads you do based on your budget number. They realize they're going to bid on what's called a temporary budget process. So they allow you to go up and down either way. We try to keep that up or down within 20%, because that's kind of local, but if the contractor allows, you can go up or down as long as he has negotiated a price. If you went down 20%, you're right. That's a lot of room in there. 20% is over $200,000.
Jeff, did you have your hand up, Jeff, first? Go ahead, Jeff, then Lauren.
So I did try and drive as many of these streets as I could, and the one maybe both of you can speak to, I drive on that section of Dean every day, and I will grant you that it's not even,
right,
but it's not rutted, so I'm not sure, or, it's not potholed. So I'm trying to figure out what we would do there. There are parts of it that it seems to drop off.
Right.
Is that what we're trying to address?
Yeah, it's a heavily traveled road that is in poor condition, and if you don't address it, it's going to be a full reconstruct. So the estimated cost we have for it is, let's say, $63,000. If it falls apart, like completely disintegrates, that number will go up over $300,000-400,000. So you now have a chance, because it's so heavily traveled, you want to address it sooner than later.
All right, that's why I wanted to make sure.
Lauren, then Vanu, please.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you for this work, both of you, to pick the roads. So I want to talk about Grove Street. So Grove Street is central to our high school and middle school. Many of the kids bike and walk there, and they come from all over the town onto Grove. And they also, by the way, Central, they bike and walk onto Central. So I would like to add biking paths, bike and walk paths. So whether it's just by striping with a little extra space on the side. So I'd like to know if that's possible.
So from a Riverside Cooperative, the Riverside Cooperative would have nothing to do with that. So this is addressing the area where the sanitary sewer repair was done a few years ago, and we need to, now it's settled that we need to address it. As far as bike paths, the normal process for bike paths, or even what we call a sharrow or a sharing the road, sharrows in the road, you'd really go to I'm assuming council has a safety committee?
No.
Okay, so you'd really be either a committee that the mayor would set up between police, some council members, engineering and DPW, identify where you want bike paths, identify whether it's a dedicated bike path or a share the road bike path. You'd actually come up with a plan for that, and then you could just institute by painting it on the street. It's just, and usually most towns adopt it by ordinance. There are standards that the DOT and the federal DOT have for bike paths. Grove probably has enough room. Central probably has enough room. Yeah, those roads probably have enough room. You have to look at things like on-street parking and driveway access and residential driveway access, and there's a lot to look at when you do it, but it needs to be addressed in a bigger setting or a committee setting first, and then back to council and get adopted.
Jimmy, can you put that on the DPW next agenda?
Vanu, then you.
Oh, and I have one more.
Go ahead,
So
Lauren.
I've been working with you for roads for many years, and I think this is the 5th year in a row we've asked for Sisson, which was full of potholes, which was sort of patched over. It's a highly trafficked road for schools.
Right.
Twice a day, that has 100 cars going through it. And so I'm going to request that Sisson be priced and considered for this round. Because Sisson was, I think, taken off the last 2 years, because we kept putting Sisson on.
Right.
And now we've taken it off, and I don't see it on today.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It could be, if you want to add it, we can add, it's up to you.
I mean, it has to be with permission of everyone, but yes, I'd want to add it. We've had it on the list as a red road for many years.
It's a red road.
Yes. It's a small road, and it makes an S
Yeah,
curve.
I mean, let's put it on the list and see
Okay.
where it takes us with the numbers.
That's fine.
Okay. Vanu, and then Jeff, please. And just one other comment about the bike lane first. That's really something police commission business, not DPW necessarily.
Correct.
So I think we talked to the chief to get him to weigh in,
The traffic.
not to give you one less thing to do. Make sure you invite him to the police commission meeting.
Well,
Okay.
my question really was just, do we need to reimagine when we pave the road, extra space or? Space
Right.
is
Yeah,
what
you
the
can't change the
space is.
space. Yeah, space
Okay.
is space.
Okay, Vanu, then Jeff, please.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, go ahead, I got my question answered.
Oh, okay. Jeff, go ahead, please.
Well, this is more for the council. I think years ago, we adopted complete streets, which
Did.
does go to Councilmember Dayton's point that anytime we're doing work, we should be considering pedestrian bike, because that's a state ruling that we incorporate into ours, and I feel like we are just ignoring that.
Yeah,
So-
so
so I
you've
guess that-
you've adopted complete streets,
We did.
and the issue with specifically bike lanes is if you're gonna have bike lanes, you need a bike lane plan for your town. So you'd have to, again, many towns do this, you need a committee that gets together, forms a bike lane plan. A good example would be the City of Summit. The City of Summit formed a committee, I think they do have a safety committee on council. That committee said, we want bike lanes to connect all of our major parks. So they had the committee come up, they came up with routes for it, they came up with plans for it. Once they did it, they looked at width of street, they looked at on-street parking, they passed ordinances limiting parking, adding some are shadowed, which is shared bike lanes, some are dedicated bike lanes. At each terminus, they have wayfinding to get you there. It's a big deal. You can't just go on Grove and just add a bike lane on Grove. You just can't do that.
I love that idea, by the way. I love doing a full plan. That's
we need.
fantastic with our wayfinding. That's great. But
So just for purposes
we need to do that.
of clarity, the paving of the road, as you're explaining it, has nothing to do with how we stripe for the bike lanes?
No.
Okay. All right. I think that's an important point.
But
Then we have the police commission, and we will talk to the chief and figure out how we move forward on that, with the idea that maybe Grove Street is the first spot we do it.
So I just want to say, just for the council, New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition has come in and offered to work with us to do exactly what Andy's talking about, which is
They do that
a
everywhere.
full town bike and walk focus. And so let's possibly bring them in if anyone's interested.
They may do it for free.
Yeah,
But we like that number.
yeah.
Okay, who has additional questions for Andy? Vanu had his question answered, he indicated. Julie, did you?
Super quick, just to circle back to Councilman Menon's point. So anything to do with sidewalks, that's not involved with this collective? then?
This is-
Okay.
The Riverside Cooperative just wants to mill and pave your roads in Montessori, keep it quick. Years ago, like 5 years ago, they used to do parking lots and sidewalks and a lot of curbing work, and they had a big dispute. There was a lawsuit involving the contractor, and they got rid of all of it. And that's why they have the other bids. So they do other bids for curbing, they do other bids for sidewalk, they do other bids for repairs and stuff. On your agenda is the repair for Piermont. That's a Riverside Cooperative item under a different bid. Specific, yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next steps, Andy?
I'm gonna add Sisson and submit this to Riverside Cooperative.
Say that again, you're going to add
I'm gonna
Sisson?
add Sisson and submit this to Riverside Cooperative to be in their bid.
And when will you have a better sense of the numbers?
Mid-April,
In April?
mid-April.
And-
Maybe
and-
maybe the third week.
And if the number comes in exactly like this and the council decides they don't want to spend this much money, do they still have the freedom to do that?
No, your contract with the contractor for Riverside Cooperative will be the amount of money you want to spend. So if you want to spend $1 million, you would offer them a contract of $1 million for these roads.
Okay.
You can make that decision then.
Make the decision then. Okay.
Andy,
Go
can
ahead.
I just add one more to look at? We've been doing a really nice job. We did the Buff Road and everything, and now we're doing that long straightaway. Marconi is like a little loop right next to it. If you could just see, because that would be a connection.
I can look at that. It was on my list.
There you go. So
We both cut one street out.
The director and I are. That's fine.
What do you oh, just to talk about it right now.
I'm just saying, 'cause I know you like to do
All right,
things that
since-
connect.
Right, since we're talking about, Jimmy has brought up a good point,
Which is Councilman Menon's question.
is that Engel is happening through a DOT grant,
Right?
and that's happening when?
We got the.
Next meeting.
Yeah, at the next meeting, we have the
Okay.
engineer's letter of recommendation that came in today. So at the next meeting, that'll be on for consideration for award.
And that's Hudson to Highwood, basically. And the price came in, it came in literally $50,000 below budget.
Good.
Okay, good.
Amazing price.
Because they ripped up Hudson.
All right, any other questions? You have clarity?
I'm clear.
Michael, do you want to add anything? Okay. Thank you very much, Andy.
You're welcome. Hey, you want me to stay? Anything else? Or?
Is there anything else we need Andy for?
I mean, we're
In
talking
case
about
for the
grants.
next, I mean, we have.
Which one?
We have the salt shed, we have open space trust funds.
You want to, do you have the
It's
freedom?
up to-
Yeah. Let's ask you to stay for a few minutes, if please.
I was gonna say, can we go right to the salt shed next? 'Cause
Well,
we
the
have-
salt shed's next on the list, so that's an easy ask.
Okay.
All right, salt shed assessment, please.
Yeah, if I may, Mayor. The council saw a second recommendation for the assessment of the salt shed at the DPW site. So I provided that here. Ultimately, their main recommendation is to repair and not replace. If you were to replace, we won't know if the existing concrete walls would be able to sustain the current standards for a salt dome to be built over it. So they're saying the repairs could be done, which would be obviously a major cost difference.
What's the difference in the
Yeah, I think
cost?
there's no cost in this proposal.
Yeah, so the cost so backing up one step, last year we set aside in the capital budget $125,000 for repairs. And it was recommended to potentially knock down and rebuild this dome. If we knock it down, it could be with the walls intact, $300,000. If they're not intact, up to $500,000. If we just do the repairs, it would be probably about $200,000. So
How come the quote that we got originally was in 125 and now it's 200 for the repair?
just costs of materials, specific to roofing materials.
I mean, that's a big jump. That's $75,000 more.
One step back, I tried to read it a couple times, I still don't fully understand their recommendation. You're saying you can do this, or you can do that.
Right, so you could put up a new building, right? You could always put up a new building with something and the cost.
You hire a professional, but you want a recommendation from this professional? I honestly, I feel like I missed from this letter what their recommendation is.
So they're presenting us with options, right? So do you want to repair it at 200,000 and it'll last about whatever it is, 20 or 30 years? Or do you want to spend $500,000 and maybe it'll last 50 years?
I don't think anything's lasting 50 years.
Pardon me?
I don't think anything's lasting 50 years.
How would
Yeah.
you know about the base, the concrete base?
Pretty much until it's deconstructed.
Of course, of course.
And that might be a good Andy question for to get into that point, but.
And again, the way they've read it, again, you guys probably understand it better than I do. Again, they said you do this, but maybe it's not gonna work.
That's how I read it.
It's
Yeah.
very, honestly, I think that there's an opportunity for improvement on this report. I did ask for my money back.
Well, if the council wants, we'll get clarification on the report.
Did Andy review
I
the
mean,
report?
I think Andy did have time to look at the report.
Andy, could
What
you
do you
step back
think?
up to the mic?
Your professional
About
opinion.
repairs versus new construction, and what do you think in terms of timeline?
So I read the preliminary report, and in general, I think it's consistent with what we did. The issue is, do you repair something and you're not getting a certification for the repair? So the original manufacturer of this salt shed, both Pannoni and I talked to them. And they're like, yeah, we can repair this. And it's going to be, somewhere between, the original 125 came from them. It's going to be somewhere between 125, maybe a little more. And when we met with them, and I think Pannoni saw the same thing, that number was like 125 to 200 now. And then we said to them, okay, that's great. Are you going to certify it? They go, oh, no, we're not going to certify it. We're not going to tell you it's going to last any time frame. We're not going to give you any guarantee. We're just going to repair it so it's okay now. And we're like, well, we can't. I'm not going to agree to that. So you're going to spend a couple $100,000 and have a salt shed that might be bad in a year or 2 years?
Well, that we don't want, right.
Right, so nobody, I mean, the question, right.
The way I just read it, yeah, look, there may be rotting, it may not.
Maybe cracked.
You don't.
We won't know until we get into it.
You really need,
What do you think? What would be your recommendation? This is sort of your salt shed.
Can we knock knock it down and look? Because we know we're gonna replace the top.
The top should come off.
So, I'm saying, can we do a better inspection?
Come up to the microphone,
Yes,
Michael.
So what happens is the salt shed sits on a kind of a concrete octagon, and you have to separate those two pieces to see the condition of that.
Concrete.
And once you see a condition, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to repair that. But, as I think as a counselor, you know, if Mike or I or Pinoni comes up here and says, yeah, take the top off, it's $200,000, go budget it, and we come back here and go, we looked at it, the concrete's no good. Now you're gonna go, why didn't you catch that before?
Right.
I can't tell you something I can't see, and Pinoni can't tell you something they can't
It's
see.
like a capital expense, Susan would know this better. This is a building.
Yeah.
This is a $500,000 building.
Yeah.
Over 30 years.
Correct. You could do more than that.
Literally, I mean, again, if we did this last year when we probably should have, it would have been half the interest rate. But this is not an operating expense, and
Correct.
I think this is totally, Susan, if you come on up, it seems like a slam dunk that.
So, quick story to your question. Whatever, 15 years ago, when I was in the construction business, we did a lot of major renovations, and one of the ones we did, one of the side parts of a huge major house renovation was to tear down the existing garage, keep the foundation, put a new garage and a new master bath above it. Took everything down by hand because we were saving the foundation. And as soon as we took the building off of the foundation, one of the workers leaned against the foundation wall of the garage and it fell over. And the only thing holding it together was the house. I mean, it's not an uncommon issue.
It happens.
It happens. And that was not something anyone figured out, engineers, architects, beforehand.
So it is a capital item.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you say, Susan?
It's a capital item.
So what would be your recommendation?
Well, I would want to do it right, and if nobody's willing to certify it, then that's a problem.
So, council members, what do you think?
I would get a new one.
It sounds like doing it the right way is the best way. As difficult as, go ahead, Vanu.
The 500,000 is if we're building the same kind of structure. Again,
Good point.
It doesn't take into account the other ways that we can have a salt shed. And obviously.
Yeah, you could rip the salt shed down and put up a fabric structure.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You
what I'm
have
saying.
other
So-
options.
So we're looking at the 500,000 based on what we currently have and replacing it with the same thing we currently have.
500,000 is if we take the top off and the concrete is bad, the
And
base
that's
is
gotta
bad.
come out, right.
That's 500K.
But,
If the bottom is fine, it's
Then it's
300K.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you can be actually talking about 50,000.
No.
Or, you know,
So-
100,000
No, if
with
you took that
fabric.
structure down in its entirety, I mean, we've put a couple of the fabric structures up, you're probably 250 to 300,000 for a brand-new fabric structure.
And how long is a fabric structure last?
Nowhere near as long as a wood salt dome.
How long has this salt shed been there? 40 years.
If it had been taken care of, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Well, if I had bought Amazon stock when it was $2.
Maintenance was an issue.
Right. So is there, go ahead, Jeff, please.
Yeah, so, to the point that there are other ways to build it in the future, right? I think we have to look at two things. One, cost, obviously, but two, the life expectancy of those different types of materials. So I think what we need is a recommendation, if we were to rebuild it, what is the most cost-effective, biggest bang for the buck to do that? And that way, we would have better sense of numbers here.
So you have a salt shed that's required by the state of New Jersey. So it's not a desire for Mike to have one, he has to have it by law. If this salt shed has to be taken out of operation, you have to store your salt in another town. If in fact it is a violation, it's $15,000 a day for every day it's not
I know,
constructed,
we've
right? So
discussed that. I'm talking
right,
more
so the-
materials for rebuilding.
Right, the longer it takes. But what I will tell you is, there's really two types of salt sheds. Wood structure with concrete walls, kind of more the prefab structure, which what he has, which has concrete walls. And there's a fabric structure that has these gigantic block walls. All of them are about the same cost if you do a cost versus time and longevity. So the fabric structures last the least amount of time. The wood structures are all about the same. It's about the size and tonnage of salt. So how many tons of salt you put in your shed? Right, so 15,000 tons of salt. So he's gonna need a wood structure, if it mimics that has 15,000 tons. It could be octagon, it could be rectangular, it could be square. No matter which one you use, they're all gonna be about the same price. If they're brand new, they're all about $500,000 generally. If you use a fabric structure, it's probably $250 less than that, but it's gonna have half the lifespan or even less than half, maybe a quarter of the lifespan, because the fabric structures, they're fabric, they rip. The frame will be okay, but it rips, and he's not gonna be able to store as much salt, so he needs more space for it. So he's gonna have to construct a shed that's twice as big out of fabric, so that cost is then gonna go way up. But trust me, every town struggles with this. Most towns built their salt sheds 30 years ago. They're all coming to their age. Your bonding limit for a salt shed is 30 years, maybe? 35 years?
I'm not sure, but.
Right. It's not more than 40, so it needs to, I mean, it's at its replacement. This is an older type of structure.
So between the spalling and the potential leakage and the damage probably to the base, what we are talking about is the most logical thing is replacing it at this.
Correct, and I believe that when you take the old structure off, you're gonna find that there's gonna be some repair needed to the concrete structure, but you'll be able to save it. That's our belief, but again, when we pull that structure off, I don't know, as the mayor's example, I don't know if it's been eroding down through that concrete, I'm gonna push the wall, it's gonna fall over. Right now, there's a structure holding it all together. Once you take the Lego blocks off the top, the bottom may fall apart. We'll know that once you take it apart. That's why you have to budget the whole amount.
No. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next, I'm thinking about like the Coliseum is still standing 2,000 years later,
We can't get a
built concrete out of it. Okay.
Budget.
So what's the next step on this to go out to bid with different options? The repair option. Go ahead.
If I may, yeah, so we would have to allocate some more money in the capital budget. We have 125 from last year, so if we're doing the full, replacement, we would just.
So this would be a supplemental bond ordinance.
But,
Okay.
Again, can I just repeat this point? Because we did this last year and got the quote for 125. Now we are $75,000 higher than the quote that was going to be,
I would say this, if I've learned nothing in being government, every year we wait, it simply gets more expensive. If we have the same conversation next year, you'll be asking why, it's 150,000 more, right? I mean,
Okay.
a
fine.
perfectly valid question, but I think that's what'll happen.
It is what it is.
So obviously supplemental bond ordinance issues, and then what is the next step? Do we actually go out to bid? What do we do
Go out to bid.
for the three options?
You go out to bid for it.
You have to
And so
adopt
options-
the ordinance and the funding's in place, then I could certify that the funding's in place and then go out for bid.
So the three options to bid are to repair,
Repair and certify.
it's repair and certify, new and certified, and potentially a different type of structure.
No. This is my opinion. Repair and certify the top. That's bid one. Bid two is to remove the top, dispose of it, inspect the bottom, repair the concrete as necessary, and then put a new top on it. Third option is to demo the whole thing and put a whole new one in.
Okay.
In this place, and remember, from an option perspective, if you've been to DPW, it's not like Mike is overflowing with space in the spot. The reason he has an octagonal shed is 'cause that's what fits there. If you
Right.
get on the Parkway, literally look up and down the Parkway a couple of years ago, and we worked on a lot of them. The Parkway has these huge rectangular salt sheds. The walls go up 20 feet. They pile salt in there, and they actually give an overflow so the salt can come down, go down sides, they pick it up and bring it inside to be most efficient. Those salt sheds are massive. It would be his whole yard.
Right.
So so they had space. He doesn't have the space. His space is limited to this octagonal area he has.
So you're not able to build a new shed at a different location while this one gets repaired or comes down?
And you can't build higher.
Wouldn't make sense anyway. Okay.
No, because it's much more expensive. The walls have to be more reinforced.
Renew.
How large is the existing structure in square feet?
You just jinxed it. Just jinxed it. It's gonna slow to
63 feet across and about.
It's gonna slow to June now.
It's like basically it's a circle.
Oh,
It's a circle.
so it's just- okay.
Just to make you guys laugh, just for a second, what about if you move the salt shed to the recycling center? We have like 500 trucks
So it's actually not a laugh. The issue I'd be concerned about, we have not investigated, would be any environmental restrictions preventing a salt shed from being there.
We're gonna go to waterway, just waterway.
Well, then also you're committing to a brand-new salt shed option, first off. Because now you,
Overall, I mean, I think, at least I'm getting to, we need a new one. Again, it's a penny wise, pound foolish.
right, unless the foundation is good.
If the foundation is good, you could put it right back where it is. It's actually gonna be fine, but.
Do you have a place to store the salt already, if you need to?
Begging other towns in the county to.
Give us a pass.
County has a shared service. We have a shared, they have a shared service.
At least 90 days.
Correct.
At least 90 day construction.
Okay, so any other
We haven't checked on the ordering for the kit for above. We have to do that, so one of the things I'll do in advance of this, while you're going through your budget, is call the manufacturer and say, if we ordered it tomorrow, how long would it take to get here? That's gonna be your bid time, because let's say he says it's 90 days, it's gonna be another 30 to construction, now it's a 120-day project. So now he's pushing up against September.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
We have no options, we have to.
Right.
We have
Are
to
we
abide
good?
by
Everyone
state law.
understands?
Yeah, I think,
Susan, clarity?
No, I think just have to add the additional amount, so 375 has to be added to the
Correct.
125.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Is there a,
I have to look.
I would, but I don't make that decision. I would move it as fast as you could.
I have to see where I put it. I might have put it in the.
okay.
It's temporary.
Are we working under a deadline?
You want to be done by, winter next
No,
year?
no. A deadline from DEP. It just has to be
You
done.
have a shed right now, it's just not in good shape.
Understood, okay. Okay?
To build off that
say that
question,
again?
can we push another budget
Right.
cycle?
Okay.
Can we push another budget
We're
cycle?
meeting this Saturday and Capital's on it.
Okay.
So we can discuss
yeah.
more then.
All right. Thank you, all three of you.
Thank you, Andy.
The next question is the tree ordinance update. Mike?
Can I start to talk about it for a second, Mayor?
Can you what?
Can I start to talk about it before?
Of course, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out to the fellow council people that Councilman Menon and I had done a lot of work on this the last time. And you see in the ordinance that's hyperlinked where the crossouts are and how the fees went up. And so we tried to strengthen it, which you all voted on. But I think with this 15 Leslie situation, that the message that we got, that I personally have been coming to the conclusion of the fact that the problem is that when people remove trees from a certain area, our problem, as I'm seeing it, as well, one of the problems is the fact that the replacement trees don't go back in that area. So like we're going down streets now that have huge houses on properties, and the trees are all gone from those blocks. And so it's like by allowing people to pay into a fund, allowing developers to pay into a fund so that we can find other places in the town to take the trees is really damaging the town, because we're not compelling people to put them back where they were taken from. And I would like to know, because this was something that I know Councilman Menon and I had discussed at length in the past, legally, as we see it in such jarring examples, legally, what is, and this is, I guess, my question to Wendy, is there something that we could put in a tree ordinance where it's not, okay, here's the mitigation, great, we're having a robust amount of money in our tree fund, but is it something where we can say, no, you don't get to pay, you must put back a tree there? And I know that there's cases where the person's obviously built a much bigger house on the location, So yes, they might not be able to put it exactly back in the place that the tree was taken from, but like I said before, we have blocks where there's so few trees left from what was there just before a few developers came in. So I guess my question is, what legally can we do when we look at a tree ordinance and to say, you know what, let's forego this idea of money as much as the replacement of the tree and the location that it's in so the trees are more integrated throughout the town. Do we have those legal options?
So I don't feel fully comfortable having this discussion on the fly. I will say you have to make sure that your ordinances are rationally related to a purpose. And as to the particulars of it, we can certainly go into a closed session, discuss potential litigation that would arise, et cetera. This is not a topic I'm comfortable not having prepped for in this way and discussing and open to, when there could be potential litigation associated with actions.
Right, just to explain to people, as I just need to explain that a lot of times our hands are tied because of some laws that do constrain what we're able to do with the tree ordinance. So that is important for us to say, yes.
And it's what your statutory authority is to regulate overall as well. It's not just specific to trees.
So I have on that follow-up, I have a question for what Julie just asked. Obviously, if we take trees down within the footprint of a house, you can't put a tree back there. But to the extent, not that you were prepared to answer this, to the extent, can you talk a little bit about, are there issues with how close a tree can be to a newly constructed house for practical purposes that you would replant? Are there any kind of, how does that work?
The folks that are building these houses are hiring professionals to do their plantings. They're not just doing it on the fly.
Right.
You got landscape architects that aren't going to put, a red oak tree right next to the brand-new house that they just built. They're going to, put them away if they're going to use them at all. We see predominantly a lot of evergreens being put in. The thing is, the folks that are building these houses are spending a lot of money. They want to see what they want to see for their buck. And we don't have anything that says you can't do that. And, some folks would say that's overreach if we did. So but that's a discussion for you guys to have. Okay. For the most part, they're trying to do it sensibly. Everybody builds a screen around. They use it as fencing. They do as many as they can onto these pieces of property that they can do, and that's it. They build to suit. I was telling the new before. They have this all planned out before they even buy the house. They know exactly what they're going to do with it. They build walls here so we can take these down. We put a swimming pool here. We're going to take these down. The footprint of the house is going to be this. We're going to take these down. There's not much left. And if it conforms to what is approved on the plans, I can't stop them.
Okay. So Lauren, go ahead. Then I was going to ask Wendy a question. Go ahead.
So, Julie, I'm completely on board with exactly what you said. I mean, ideally, we want to see replanting on the property. So Wendy, I'm going to ask you, when you look up the laws and help guide us here, two questions. One, is there something that requires it within the same boundary of the same property of replant? Maybe not 100%, but maybe a 50%. Like you must replace at least 50%, something along those lines, so that at least we know not everything can go right into the tree escrow. You can't just pay off everything. You have to replant. And let's see if there's anything along those lines. And two, is there any law that says we can't regulate against clear cutting a property? Because I'm seeing clear cutting a property. For example, there's one right on East Clinton. It is clear cut. They took down 100-year-old trees, not just 20-year-old trees, 100-year-old trees. And as you come down the hill and the water flows down the hill, that property was a huge stopgap for everything below it. And I will be shocked if every house now below it is not going to complain in the next couple of years about flooding. So we also have to be, aware that we have that rationale. And it is reasonably related to an interest in the town to not have mass flooding down our hills. And I don't think that that's an overreach. And I do think we have flooding and we live in hills and valleys, and we need to be realistic when we clear cut a property.
I want to thank you for the explanation, though, for your letter of detail about the 15 Leslie. I think it really put it in a very easy to understand situation about that
Yeah,
property.
he tried. The homeowner tried. He was led astray by his developer. They said, yeah, you can put these trees in, and they weren't big enough.
Mike, would you mind, though, just telling the public at large what you see as it, you told me in different conversations, this idea of an evergreen, it's not, just so people, like, it's not like an effective tree in your mind. Can you tell about that?
They're not going to take over the place of a mature hardwood tree, an oak tree. It's not going to give you the shade, all that. It's not going to transpire as much water. It's not going to make as much oxygen. You know, the science of it is, ninth grade biology, but that's the long and short of it, is that you're taking down large mature specimens and putting in these little dwarf things that are never going to amount to that much. So,
Thank you.
good.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Julie, you want to continue going into this, or council questions?
No, I just, I would like to ask Wendy, obviously you've heard to research a few things, and I just want to tell the public that our tree ordinance is stronger than it was in the past, and that is why we have money in the Shade Tree Trust, and that's why we're able to put, in this upcoming year, we're going to have a lot of trees going into the Tenafly Nature Center that help their forest management program. We're looking at putting some in Moam, and we're looking at, places around the town, but I think everyone recognizes that we have an issue, and it's certainly not, it doesn't matter what we replace in 1 year, it's never going to replace mature trees, and it's a problem that gets compounded year upon year upon year, so we have to do something. Thanks.
So I have a question about one of the items here. On the third page, 26.1.3, permit required. Right now, the ordinance essentially says that someone with an existing 1 or 2 family home that's living there with the CO doesn't need a permit, so to take down a tree. So what does this mean? Michael, I'm gonna have to ask you to come back up again.
I'm sorry, Mayor, where are you?
Section 26-1.3, it's the third page
Thank you. Got
of
it.
the ordinance.
Got it.
At the bottom, Michael, where it says permit required. So what does this mean? In other words, if someone's putting an addition on an existing house, currently as it stands, they wouldn't need a permit to take that tree down if it's within the building envelope or anywhere, or what?
Julie, was that part we took out, this is a problem? It sounds like if you have a CO
Pardon me?
before 2013, you're exempt. Those are notes that were put in there. So that, I believe that was supposed to be taken out of the last revision, isn't it?
It is in special lines.
Okay.
26-1.3, page 3. 26-1.3. So what is the effect of changing this, of the grandfathering?
Well, that was taken out.
That was taken out because that date,
It should
because,
look like this, with the lines through it.
Because we took it out.
Right.
So my question is, what's the effect of taking it out on a house that people have been living there for 30 years? That's my question. Why did
because
we take
that
it out?
exempted folks from the ordinance that said that if you had a CO before 2013, you were exempt from the ordinance. You could do whatever you wanted.
You do whatever you want?
Pretty much.
Even if it's not within the building envelope?
Right. So
I see.
that was from when, it looks like the ordinance, the original tree ordinance was adopted on that date.
Right.
So it was probably done in order to not upset property owners that a new regulation was coming on and it would only affect new construction. But since it's been in effect now for at that point 9 years, at the revision, that part was taken out.
Okay. So in other words, if someone's putting an extension on their house, putting up a new garage or something like that, they'll still be able to take down the trees within the building envelope, correct?
But they'd have to provide mitigation for it, and they still need a permit.
Right, understood,
Yes,
understood,
yes.
okay.
And we made a few things easier. There were some things about multiple copies and requiring, I think something about newspaper require, yeah.
Mike,
We trimmed that.
Can I ask you to come back up for one more second, if you don't mind? So, just so everyone knows, Mike and I one time sat down, like, at this point, almost 2 years ago, I think, and talked about using the tree fund escrow money for replanting some more things in Roosevelt. Remember, we talked about Roosevelt, around the CVS parking lot, some more beautification in some of the playgrounds. I would like to put that back into this year's budget again.
Well, you don't need it in the budget, you
I
have
kn-
an escrow fund.
Yes, so I'd like to actually create the plan so that Mike, who had great recommendations of what would be a good, long-lasting, trees and bushes, we can actually follow through with this. I don't know if you want to do this again with the DPW committee or just, with us, whatever it is.
It's your ball.
Well, Mike, you have a plan so far about this upcoming spring, and
We have the nature center is getting done.
Mom School,
Mom School, unfortunately, can only take a very small number of trees.
a few numbers,
Yeah,
okay.
I met with them.
Then you have the new list, which came from people from the newsletter.
Right.
Responded to the list. And we have, by the way, we've advertised the free tree in the center of town on the billboard as, getting more. So he's got, how many people did you get from from the newsletter?
Originally 15, I think it was.
15 responded just from the newsletter. I was impressed. And then maybe to Lauren, Lauren's saying, like, I don't know how many could bang out in this year if you have to hire that third party we've discussed,
Well, it depends if we have the locations. The locations are important. If we're talking about planting in parking lots, I'm kind of adverse to that
We were
because,
talking about low-level bushes.
yeah,
like
again,
arborvitae
watering,
type.
it becomes a maintenance issue for me.
Okay.
Now I have to send guys out to water all
Well,
summer long in the hot, hot sun in a heat sink.
I know, but some of that CVS parking lot right now
It's-
is
yep.
trash, so I'll take watering over trash cleanup, so.
But
But-
if you guys want to go together, figure it out, again,
Whatever you'd like, whatever's easiest for you.
what's easiest for me, you guys come up with spots and we'll put them in. That's, it's less work for me. It's,
All right.
Okay,
all right?
All right,
Any other
thank you.
questions on this? Thank you.
So,
Thanks-
Mayor,
thank
I'll
you.
take back and do some of the research on the questions asked and bring it back to your council in the future.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so, go ahead.
If there's any questions on the resolution, because, just
Are
to,
the- This resolution is back on the agenda tonight. Are there any questions? We might as well address them now.
wait, hold on a second.
yeah, for 15 Leslie, it was previously pulled at the last meeting. We provided a narrative just to assist with some of the background and what took place, and of course, it was asked for Mike to be here for both items. So,
Okay. All right, so you wanted,
if we can,
for the Open Space Trust Fund?
yes.
Okay. With the council's indulgence, because Andy is here, I'd like to move item F to the next spot, potential grants for Open Space Trust Fund programs. Everyone good with that? Andy, would you mind joining us again?
Yeah, so the county has a few grant opportunities available, and that we wanted to see with the council if there's any projects they would like to pursue for these grants. So we thought this is appropriate, kind of what we do, and previously is we make this information available and discuss potential eligible projects, and just, it's good that Andy was able to be here tonight, and, we could include him on this conversation as he's useful to know what's, the layout of the town, what's eligible, what's ineligible, and rough estimates, and
We're
so on
talking
and so
about the
forth.
Open Space Trust Fund grant?
Yep,
You just remember on that grant, the county kind of keeps each town kind of in a window of a dollar value, so the dollar value you've gotten before is pretty consistent what you'll get in the future, unless a lot more money is added to the program or a lot's taken out, and then they adjust it kind of accordingly. And Bergen County does it really well. They're pretty fair, in my opinion. It's a good program. It's a really good program.
What did we get last time?
Shy of 90?
Yeah, it was almost 100. Let's say you're around 100, and you have to match it, so it's a 50% match.
But we've never missed one.
Nope.
So what's the recommendation here?
We're gathering any potential projects.
Like lists.
Floodplain protection program, that's a new one to me. What's that, what qualifies as that?
To acquire the
It'd be
property.
acquiring property to be
So for
flood
waivers.
resilient, so people don't flood out.
For
So if you had a house that got flooded during Hurricane Ida, you'd say, they got flooded, we're gonna go market value and buy it. And you'd pay market value for it.
Gotcha.
And they'd pay up to half of that.
You have to identify the property before you ask for the money.
Yep.
I have a
What?
couple suggestions.
Right, correct. Go ahead, Lauren.
Couple suggestions, and this is a continuation of things we've been working on. We were improving Walnut Park, which actually is flooding significantly these days.
Just from, not from a stream, just from stormwater.
Stormwater, correct, it pools.
Right.
And so there was the idea to add bathrooms to Walnut. Again, this is used by our youngest recreation, and there's nothing near there for bathrooms. It actually is an issue where parents leave practices and have to go all the way to downtown or Borough Hall. So building a bathroom thing, the way we have on Muni, is an option, which would make that a much better, useful recreation space for our youngest players. It's soccer, lacrosse, softball.
Yeah, I don't
My
think.
kids used Walnut, and I had to
Bathrooms
leave
don't count.
Walnut and go to the ladies' room and stuff like that.
I don't
Yeah,
think
so
they
the,
count
yeah, the
bathrooms.
open space trust fund grant doesn't necessarily fund buildings. So it's non-building stuff.
Non-building.
Community development block grant could,
A what plan, a community block?
but you remember, where you're eligible is limited, so handicap bathrooms could apply, but if, when the block grant comes out, if you want to apply for a bathroom, you'd have to actually, we could ask them in advance for it. They'll tell you.
We did the handicap parking there, so it might have been from the block grant
Yeah.
years back.
The block grant did the playground, and the handicap spot you guys funded.
I have, sorry. Well, then again, on Walnut, we do have an entire square area that's empty right now that we were talking about and have been requested by one of the parents in town with the rec board to do an inclusive playground, which we've been talking about, adding in sensory playground equipment and inclusivity. It's a separate and distinct area from our bigger playground. And again,
At Walnut.
at Walnut. And I will always add picnic tables and shade spots.
So the question is, are there grants for inclusive playgrounds?
Yes.
Say that again?
Yeah, they'll fund that.
Say that again,
The
Julie?
municipal park improvement program would fund that.
Yeah, let's find that out.
And you have to ask, we have to ask.
Good.
We used to get a
Or it
list.
should
though.
fund it.
We used to get a list from Jamie of her needs too.
So there's two things that are in the capital budget this year from recreation, both in the kind of Roosevelt area. One being the tiger cage is well past.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm told
Yeah,
there's
well,
safety concerns
well
now.
past.
So one is the tiger cage.
That's right, that's the one right here, right? Correct, yeah.
And then the other one is right next to it, the multi-purpose area is in the budget as well. Both those are open spacey, both of them are right next to each other. Maybe you could actually combine the two, which would be
I like
cooler.
that.
Well, there's a stream in between.
No, overall plan.
I will
Oh, as a
lay-
grant.
I will lay on the stream and walk over it. So I would put those two that could possibly be one, and that would help us from budget time with both those.
And that's central to our downtown and, you know,
Okay.
Can we actually get a bigger, we
Put
should
the
actually
list
get a
together.
big plan for that whole area. Yeah, it
Say
should
that
just be
again?
one nice park. Not like, do you know what I mean, like,
talked
not.
about that for 2 years.
I know,
The
I want
renovations to your existing parks
yeah,
are
I'm pretty sure you just
covered.
voted that down.
It's covered.
Yeah.
For it though, let's do that too. I'm
Old
happy
skate
with
That was
park.
actually my original idea.
Soccer
So you can
field,
put a skate park on
old
top
skate
of it?
park, the soccer
No,
field,
that was actually my original idea.
I have,
inclusive playground. at
Skate
Walmart.
park, connect the road down to
Three
high
asks
school.
from the council
Ba,
right
ba,
now.
ba.
I have
Distribution.
one more
Maybe a fourth coming right now.
to possibly ask. Now, we have stewards of our land, but we are the owners of the nature center. And the nature center is looking to do a couple things up there. One of them are to make our pathways and our trails adjusted for differently abled and our seniors.
So you already received some money for that before? So
Okay.
you got money from Community Development Block Grant for the access from the parking lot to the gazebo. So, and you'll see it's set up. Originally, you'd have to ask again, would they fund more paths around the park for handicap accessibility? Because that would include seniors and everything. They may, you have to be careful, that property has a lot of slope. You may not be able to do it without significant damage to the property, because the slope's 1 on 12 or 8%. So you may have to go up, over, up, back, and they may not.
They don't wanna
Our response, my remembrance years ago was, they're like, no, just give us the viewing seating area. We don't want to mess up the whole place for ramps everywhere. They didn't want that.
And the other one that the Nature Center's working on is to create kayaking on Fisters, now that we've put it in pretty good shape. And so that would be like a shed and a boating area and a dock type of plan,
So
which might be.
just one thing about the Nature Center, though, that because it's like a membership, thing, I wasn't sure if open space could touch that area
I don't
because
think
it's.
they wouldn't fund the building.
Not a building.
So even the paths, because you have
Hold
to.
on, one at a time. Let
You have to be a member to walk in the Nature Center, and I don't think
You
open
can't have
space.
restrictions on it.
No, so it's membership, it's a nominal fee if you haven't joined as a member, which is in compliance with Green Acres rules.
Is it does it in compliance with Bergen County Open Space? I don't know
It's in
that.
compliance with our open space monies.
You'd have to ask the
It's
question.
not funded by Bergen County, so it wasn't something I looked into.
Right. I don't know the answer to that.
But statewide, generally speaking, you can have a small nominal fee because the money that's collected then goes right back into the upkeep of the site.
Lauren, go ahead.
And then I'm just gonna throw this out there because I think it's on discussion tonight, the baseball field,
It is related tonight.
and that's something possibly we wanna consider this for.
So you're looking for baseball fields. We were able to get Bergen County Open Space to fund removing a clay infield in 4 infields in Montvale, and Bergen County Open Space funded putting synthetic turf down because it now became a handicap accessible field. So they got 4 of them over a period of 4 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it takes away the maintenance. There's no maintenance. It's, the outfield's still grass, but you can now have Challenger games there. The Bergen County Challenger Group.
We
will play
have,
there.
we have a Challenger League here in
Yeah,
Tenafly.
that's great.
Okay,
Yeah, they would fund that.
so more information to come on this.
But not like a shed or the ballpark or anything, just the actual physical field.
They don't usually fund a building. Highly unlikely.
And if they wanna keep it grass, is that not eligible?
No, so you can do grass. Yeah, you can do grass. But so if you're gonna take a grass field, let's say, we went through this with them with the Montville one. Let's say a grass field is just a poorly maintained infield, right? So they're gonna look at it and go, you gotta maintain it, that's not a grant item. You're not doing anything, we don't pay for maintenance. So the synthetic turf infield is a new surface, which is much more resilient for wheelchairs and people with disabilities and sight and the whole thing, so they funded that.
Okay.
They definitely don't pay for maintenance at all.
Okay. Thomas, did you have a question? Just come up to the mic on this topic, right? Just tell us your name and address, please.
My name is Thomas Vaimakis, and my address is 20 Royden Road. I don't know how many hours I'm there, I'm listening carefully. I have a question. You're talking about an open fund. I don't know if, you probably know it. I volunteer and I work for no profit, the baseball stand, the snack stand on the baseball, on the Tenafly Little League. And I've been there maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years maybe, and I've noticed there is a triangle, there is a grass area where I think there are maybe 2 plastic tables there, no umbrellas, no nothing. And sometimes families come over there and they try to sit down and have something to eat or bringing food from somewhere else. They're sitting there. As I'm staying there a few hours every event, I'm looking on this area and I just vision, I'm just listening to you. Does that qualify for what you're talking right now, to make like a sitting area that fits on the environment? You know, do you know?
You could take an existing area outside in a park that has a rough surface, doesn't have handicap accessible tables, give it a, let's say, synthetic turf surface that's very resilient. You can also come in and put tables on that have, the table will be a special table, you have wheelchair access on one side, regular access on the other side. You put a couple of the shaded structure over it. You could apply for that.
That's interesting.
Andy?
If it's Board of Ed property, no.
Okay, good point, Thomas, thank you.
So it's Board of Ed property.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I play softball at Sunnyside. You know, Sunnyside is 3 feet below water. Any options on Sunnyside?
No, Sunnyside's at
What?
$1 million
You said
So-
10 years ago, you said 3
No, I
million.
know that general
I mean, so-
You
question.
did get open
was-
space monies there at the little parks up in the upper side, in the walkway. So you did have open space monies there
Okay.
1 year.
But,
yes.
can I just say one more thing? Like Sunnyside would be something I would very much want to hear an option for. Because if we don't do something on Sunnyside, I literally do not have a softball season in the entire spring. I'm just saying, there's 100 kids signed up who can't play because we don't have fields. The only softball fields.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Just to your quick comment about Board of Ed property. So let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say the town for its rec program leased the Smith School field.
They'll fund, if you get, like, they have to, I don't know, Wendy, if you know any of this. Normally where open space or community development funded Board of Ed property, the Board of Ed actually said, here's our field, here's the lease line around it, we're actually gonna sell it to the town for $1. And
But
they sell it to you for $1.
But not lease.
I've
like,
never
I'm
seen,
saying if I
I've never
wanted to
seen a
lease
leased
Smith
area
School
get
field as a
funding.
town.
I've never seen that.
So
I've seen towns who have sold their football field for $1 and then put in handicap accessible bleachers. I've seen that.
Andy, are you saying that most of the projects that would be funded have to have a handicap accessibility component?
For Tenafly, it does.
Inclusive playground.
Because Tenafly,
For the county or just for the community development block grants?
for community development block grants, Tenafly has very few areas that apply to it. The End of Grove was one of the areas where they have a zone. They don't have it anywhere else. Also, they all have to have a handicap accessible component or you will not get it, like the CDBG grant. Open
for the
space
county?
doesn't have to, it just helps.
Okay, so for this round that's being discussed now, it doesn't necessarily have to have a handicap?
No, it just helps significantly.
Okay.
It gives you more points on your application.
Jeff, go ahead.
So another possibility, Jimmy, you would probably know, we've talked about applying for the state, I think, for the gates at Innes Road.
Yeah.
Would it be something that would be another potential grant towards that? Because that's going to be. The historic, that's the historic preservation. The gates on Innes Road.
Innes,
that
yeah.
we-
Innes and
we have
Engel.
looked at.
You can apply, you could probably apply for those and replace those, you have to redo, I mean, they need to be redone, they're in bad shape.
Yeah, all right, so I'm just another one for the list, I'm not.
Are they listed as historic? They're on your register, are they on your historic committee on something you have, or they're historic, but you never?
I don't know
I,
that they're.
I think you have
They've
them
been
listed.
identified,
Jeff,
the county.
I think you have them listed in the open space plan as one of the places
Right,
of
well, that's
historic.
what I'm saying, is it's identified in the historic overlay.
We'd have to see what you have on the historic, how you have them listed, and give it to the county and say, would this be a fundable project? The great thing about the county is they're really interactive. You call them and ask them, they'll tell you yes or no in like 30 seconds.
All right, so
They'll
that's.
say they don't want you to waste your money applying for something you're not gonna get.
Okay, well, one more question from the council, then we have one question from the audience.
Anything we do about flooding in the culverts, anything with water runoff?
Not in this grant.
Not in this grant, because I know it said flood plan.
Well, they're looking for you to buy properties and take them out of the floodplain.
So there you go. So what would you buy? Can we?
I'm not saying that publicly.
Okay, we have one final question is going to come from a member of the public on this particular topic. No, lady behind you. Go ahead.
This is Eva Lerner Lamb, 221 Devon Road, longtime resident. Mayor Zinna married my daughter
Yes.
in October of 2021. I was also married here in.
How is she doing?
She's great.
Good.
Thank you
Good.
very much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I don't know any of you really, but I used to know all of the council members because when I was working with Dick Wilson to buy the Demarest Lyle House at 91 West Clinton, I worked with all of the council members to preserve that house, and we won state award and we got federal designation as a historic preservation property. My parents moved here in 1976, and I just bought my parents' house in 2020. It was flooded with Hurricane Ida water, and it wasn't really flooded because of floodwater. It was flooded because of no soil erosion control. There were 5 properties in the area uphill from where 221 Devon Road is, and all of the debris that landed and came 3.5 feet down my driveway because the soil and rock had been already overrunning the stormwater sewers, which I think Andy, if Andy is here, Andy managed to get a second stormwater inlet installed there, but it really isn't enough when the only thing protecting against soil and rock runoff during high rainfall times is a 1.5-foot silt fence. And so if you, I have lots of pictures of it, but if you take a look at the kinds of debris that are ending up on our streets and overflowing our stormwater sewers and landing on personal property, you will see that it is actually runoff from construction, soil, and rock. So for example, last night, I came to a Board of Adjustment variance hearing, and I asked a question about whether there was a soil and rock control plan that had been reviewed and approved for a large pool construction that's going to be occurring next door to me. And I'd like to enter into the record something that I wasn't able to enter into the board. Oh, I have the paperclip. I don't know how to do this. This is my first.
So can I ask you to give that to Omar? We're gonna, I want
to get to my,
Okay.
to answer the question. I'm so sorry for the long-winded.
No, it's okay, because there's another time where you're gonna be able to talk about this even more if you'd like to wait.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
During the public comment time.
Okay. The reason I came up here at this time is because I hear you are talking about grants, and I hear you are trying to work these small grant programs, and you're trying your best. And I just want to ask whether you're aware of the $1.2 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. I just came back from Washington, D.C., Thursday and Friday of last week, actually Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week, as a civil engineer for the American Society of Civil Engineers. I met with the staff of Senators Schumer and Gillibrand, and basically what they're saying is, we've got $1.2 trillion, we've got 1.5 years to spend it, and what we need is people to come up and tell us what things are shovel-ready.
So-
Because we don't need you to dot the i's and cross the t's on your proposals.
So we actually received communications this week from Congressman Gottheimer's office, or was it last week, on this topic, so we've been made aware of that.
Did he tell you that the earmark deadline for projects where you wouldn't actually really, really need the 20% local share was last night at 11:59?
So, no, that's a whole nother issue. No, that's.
Yeah,
that
I
was-
mean, a lot
yeah.
of the projects that you've had sitting on your books for years, if you had made the deadline last night, it would have been easy, but I'm telling you that what I was hearing from the staffers on Thursday of last week was, even if you missed the deadline,
Right. That's why the congressman has made us aware of that this week, so we're
yeah.
into that.
Good, great.
Okay.
Because I think that the town can really benefit from
No,
that.
we're always looking for grant money, and we're looking for it more and more.
And you've got politicians who can't wait to give it to you.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you
We
very
have to
much.
move to the next item on the agenda, all right?
Mayor,
Yeah,
can we put that somewhere later on the agenda
put what later on the agenda?
to figure out what projects we should be asking for?
Well, Jimmy has got a list of projects we just talked about for the past 20 minutes, so.
But that's, you know.
Right, so.
That's a very different request.
Right, but that's not for tonight's agenda, while we're figuring out what to do with that one.
Andy's asking for
What? I think we're done with Andy, right?
Andy, just to follow up on what Ms. Lerner Lamb just said, can you maybe give that a thought and you know, you and Jimmy have a discussion quickly on if anything could be eligible for the federal. I mean, there's major safety
Maybe
traffic
the salt-
issues.
How about the salt shed?
How about the
I
salt
just-
shed? How about the
here's all
traffic
I-
lights?
I don't want to be the downer.
Go ahead.
I've been doing this a long time, and towns usually get none of that money. Usually goes, what they do is they give it to the state. The state
Got-
DOT gets it, or the state TAP gets it, or they get, and then they pass it out to you, so.
I've heard from people as well to ask this time around, that they're trying to trickle it down. I have heard,
Yeah, Gottheim he's got earmarks for certain,
I have
for towns in his
various
district,
people.
so that's, we're trying to
Distribution's the
work
problem.
through.
So the problem's not that you have a need. The state and federal government struggles with distribution. They have a hard time just giving it directly. That's the problem. So
how
that's
how
where
about traffic safety? How about all the traffic lights?
the county.
It's a major project.
All right, let's move on to the next
Andy,
item.
thanks so much.
I think we're done with Andy. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Okay, outdoor dining discussion.
Yeah, Mayor, so we're holding a open comment session, and we invited the business owners. A letter was sent out, and just, you know, we spread the word amongst the business community that tonight the council had asked for input regarding whether to continue the outdoor dining in the parking spaces in the downtown, in line with Governor Murphy's executive order that's been carried over for a couple years. So this would start in, I believe, April.
April 1st.
Tonight is the night. We had scheduled it and invited the business community to come speak and provide comment along with the council discussion for a decision.
So I'll have anybody from the business community wants to speak, now's the time to speak. Okay, so if anyone would like to speak about the outdoor dining, you're welcome to come up and talk about it.
Come on back.
We just need your name and address again, Thomas, for the record.
This time I will put 35 Washington Street downtown. The outdoor, I didn't even know it was on tonight. I guess that's why I'm here. I guess that's why every business person is here. And allow me to say, the Chambers of Commerce should be here too. My comment is this. In my experience for the 35 years I live in Tenafly, and I think 4 or 5 years that the Yasu Santorini is in downtown, it was very interesting times when we had the COVID. I have to thank you for everything you did for that area. And I know there were many, many obstacles, many different opinions, but you did something that really, really helped every business down there. But now we're after COVID. Outdoor, everybody wants to be outdoor. I think it's a new trend. Everybody wants to be outdoor. Everybody's trying to find ways, you know, to come out. One, I think, and I don't want to talk about businesses, but one good users of outside place is the Axia. They took the parking space. They turned it to outdoor. I think they have some business and everything. Downtown is an area, downtown, my block and the block before and all the blocks, they have a mix of different businesses. And nobody can come up with the right plan for every business. So in my experience, there is 3 things that you need to think about. When you block, when you block part of the street or from the parking space or whatever you do, you create a motion to businesses that they don't benefit from outdoor dining. And that's a major problem for those businesses. There are very few businesses in Tenafly, and I don't want to go against anybody, that they benefit from the outdoor. Very few dining outdoor businesses. Do I benefit from it? Yes. It's open space, it's free space, more space for my store. But again, I'm going to stay to what I wanted to say. When I came to downtown Tenafly and I opened Yasu Santorini, my understanding was I maybe have 2 tables or 3 tables outside on the sidewalk, because just the side of the sidewalk there is bigger, but I knew I didn't have outdoor dining. And I knew that very clear. I signed my lease for 25 years. It was a very hard-fought lease to sign, and I did it. And this is where I'm standing. The outdoor dining shouldn't be extended at this point. It shouldn't be extended for anybody. It shouldn't. And I know I may make enemies tonight. That's my position. It shouldn't be extended, because if you extend for one business, that's not the way to do it. You shouldn't judge for one business because of the spot, and another business no because of the spot. Either you do it for everybody, or you don't.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, yeah.
Thomas, thanks for coming out and representing business right now, because
I'm surprised.
I know the new chamber was here, but he didn't stay.
I am
I don't know if
surprised.
he knew this was on.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
To say that,
So
yeah.
I have a question, just for clarification. So some businesses have utilized the sidewalks, and some have utilized the street. Is there a difference to you if businesses had tables just on the sidewalks?
The way I see it is, where I am, the sidewalk is bigger. The block before me were CVS and Brasserie, for example. Brasserie is a fine example. It's very narrow.
Yeah, they don't have the.
It's very narrow. But it's very clear to all of us that they benefit from the outdoor dining. It's clear to me. The sun is on the right spot, everything is, So that's the example there. But then you block the space. The parking is not even, you got a pet food store, all those places that they need the parking. And then you block the traffic too, in a way. So I don't know, aesthetically, I don't know, whatever you want to say, it doesn't work. Either you're going to do it universal or you're going to stop it.
I mean, we have heard from businesses, and we've removed outdoor dining in front of them to make better access.
It's evolved.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, but then, but this is now what we say, and I remember, I really, it's the tent, it's not the tent, it's the parking spot, it's not the parking spot. What is it now? How are you going to make a decision on that, am I right? It's a parking spot that belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to the store. It belongs, parking spot belongs for parking spots for the store. You don't use the parking spot for outdoor. Example. Example.
Can I ask you another
And I'm
question?
probably make enemies right now. I don't know.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you're speaking. There was an interest, very much during the pandemic, but still a little bit of floating around with our downtown committee about making either Saturday or Sunday a pedestrian walkway on the main two streets, so that we close off a space, cars aren't coming into it, but people are walking, and outdoor dining is on those days. Is that something that would interest you? Just picturing them, right, visioning. So like on a Sun-
Really, people will come out and walk if there is no tables and things outside? Really?
I'm saying with tables outside. So let's say on
Where are
a
you going to store
Sunday,
where are you going to store the tables and the chairs then, for the rest of the
store
time?
them. It's a good question.
Yeah, it would be very difficult to make one argument that says outdoor dining takes up too many parking spots, and at the same time consider closing the streets and
So-
taking up all the parking spots and no driving.
So like on a Sunday, when
What?
right, on a Sunday, for example, when the businesses that are retail are closed, but the restaurants are open, it might bring more people to our downtown to enjoy the restaurants, and you don't believe so?
No.
Okay.
I think a long time, because I'm listening to everybody. The only vision I have for downtown, for you guys to do it, is if you make the sidewalks bigger. If you really take the sidewalks and you make them double, and take outside the parking spot, period, done. So now you have one way going up, one way going down, there is no parking. You're talking about 4 floors, parking garages, whatever you're talking, that's fine. And then you make the sidewalks open. So now, Brasserie, myself, everybody can come outside and put chairs and tables, in a nice way. That's the only thing you can do in that area.
Yeah, but that also defeats the argument of taking away parking spots.
There's no parking anymore. The
Right.
parking has to come to that parking area, the little parking area that's across from me.
Right.
And somebody was talking about to build up like 2 floors, on certain spots. That's the parking.
So I guess I would say if we would consider taking away all the parking spots
Correct.
as a positive, why would taking away 2 or 3 parking spots be such a bad thing? Let's use the example of Brasserie.
Yes, because you can't really choose which business will take the spot or not. That's why.
That's true.
That's why. There are certain businesses in Tenafly, and I'm open, I'm direct, that they benefit from that.
Right.
And there are more businesses that they are not benefiting from that.
Right.
And I'm one
Well,
of
the pet store doesn't benefit if we take.
the nail
parking away
salon,
from
the
that.
bicycle, everybody, so make the sidewalk big enough for the restaurants to put the tables, the coffee places, whatever, all those places that they want outside. And the rest of the stores, they have the sidewalk. They have the sidewalk. But they have exposure. Nobody blocks them anymore. That's my, nail salons, they're gonna have space. Pet food store will have space. That's the way I vision it, as a Tenafly resident and as a town businessman.
Okay. Thomas, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well, you want to ask me something, no?
No, I want to say thank you.
You
for
ask
speaking out.
everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else want to talk about downtown parking? Let's hear. No? Okay. Council members.
Manu, didn't you bring up an issue about charging for the spots to see how much to eliminate the issue of people taking them for free and seeing whether they really wanted them or not?
Well, I mean, I just thought that, if you're going to, we shouldn't give parking spots away for free because, there's just not, that wasn't part of their deal when they rented the location that they're doing. So, yes, maybe.
But it's an interesting theory.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry.
No, this is an important issue, so it,
Listen, let the businesses speak. I want to hear from the businesses.
I love, by the way, I'm orange and black on this in the first scene.
don't drag us back into that
No.
discussion.
But picture this. We're using that rails, it's a symbol for Tenafly right now, right? And you're gonna use it. Picture that this. It should be, this is supposed to stay as is. As is. I'm not gonna say anymore. As is. That's it. That's the symbol.
Okay.
And it used to be like that when it was a hair salon, and later on it was nothing around it.
Right.
That's a symbol.
Right. Okay, council members, Lauren?
So I know in the last discussion, I'm going to raise this again, in terms of charging, the entire rationale behind allowing the outdoor dining in the first place was to allow restaurants to make up lost income, to attract new consumers for businesses that might have
Well,
been
they also
struggling.
weren't allowed to operate inside at one point.
Correct. But I still find the idea of charging them for the outdoor dining inconsistent with the purpose of outdoor dining.
Well, it's evolved, right?
It has, but I'm not saying these people are
There's a health
so
risk.
flush after 3 years of losses or 2 years of losses that we should be hurting the businesses.
The only reason I throw that on the table to pick up, Badu's original thought was, if council decides to move forward with outdoor dining, you don't want people taking it for the sake of taking it because it doesn't cost them anything. You want people to utilize it because it's important to them.
I don't think anyone's doing that.
What do you mean?
I mean, anyone who takes it is putting tables out and food out there. I don't
Yes.
think anyone's just taking it.
Well, they're taking it for free. They're not,
During a
they're not paying for that
during a
space.
pandemic.
Go ahead, so Dan, go ahead.
So he said it best, parking spots are for the public. You can't just arbitrarily give it to a private business if they want it.
I understand, okay.
It's just that, it's that simple.
I fundamentally look at it differently. Again, decisions are made by those that show up. One business showed up, there's a clear answer. Decisions are made by those that show up.
Right.
I would just for fun, personally, maybe I'm selfish. Everything to me is about the residents. I'm not, we didn't give the additional table spaces for the businesses. We gave them for our residents because they couldn't eat out. Everyone has their own opinion.
We gave it for
It's
the
for the
businesses.
residents. I know that there are residents, I'll speak for myself. I'm going to eat in Tenafly less, personally, because I like eating out in the summertime, in the springtime, and the fall time. And we don't have it in this town. It's a major driver. Wherever we were last year, you and I, some Gottheimer events, they had, I forgot the town we were in, but,
Glen
some
Rock.
have outdoor dining stuff. So I personally believe it's mutually beneficial for both businesses. Yes, they make money as they sell more, whatever. But it's also for residents that want to eat outside.
Mayor, if I could just let the council know, because I'm not sure if you've all read the latest statute that authorizes to continue, but if you do give outdoor dining through here on the parking spots, you will not be able to regulate if someone puts up a tent.
Yes, Lauren?
Interesting.
I think we also have to understand that there's inconsistencies in our downtown because some people have sunny sidewalks with big spaces and some people don't. And so if you have a business on one part of the street or on Washington versus Railroad and so forth, you may not have the same situation. And so there are businesses that don't have a sidewalk. Tavlin's a perfect example. It's a long, thin sidewalk right near the movie theater. It does not allow for more than one table line without, completely restricting residents walking past it and putting them into the street. And so allowing them the street parking frees up the sidewalk for people and our seniors and our children and whoever else needs a sidewalk to walk to that building, to the businesses. So I think the way we have imagined and reimagined and evolved it has been really intelligent by looking at what exactly is happening for each business and making a logical choice whether we allow street versus sidewalk tabling. And I just don't think an across-the-board solution, and we can't make everyone happy, an across-the-board solution makes sense. We have actually created our downtown dining with such specificity now that I feel like it's very much close to a well-oiled machine, and the businesses were all getting along. But
Yes, please.
no,
Were you done?
I'm not done.
Finish,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
also think, and I appreciate Yasu for coming in. Thank you, Thomas. And I do think it's important, but I also think it's important to get a wide range of opinions from our businesses. And
We tried, we sent letters and no one spoke
Right.
up.
I know, but again,
I
I
like
would
dining
like-
outside too.
I would like to hear from those businesses who do not have the option of sidewalk dining.
Again,
Who-
we sent letters to everybody.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but not everybody on a Tuesday night wants to sit through a meeting. We're first hearing public comments at 10 o'clock at night.
Right, but it's
So-
not, it's
Well,
not like
if we're
they were here and they
expanding your
left, so.
footage for
But
a
I
parking
understand
spot,
that,
they'll show
but
up.
also,
Well, is there anyone online? It's Omar. Is there anyone else online?
my point is, it doesn't make sense to do this decision in a vacuum. Talk to those who are using the parking spots, see if there's options.
Did you want to make it on this topic?
Yes, of course, on this
Okay.
topic.
Name and that.
Christina Evron, 39 Leroy Street. I'd like to remind you that the business owners have already come in several times. Tenafly Camera came in and spoke about how bad it was for her business. Tenafly Nails came in and spoke about how the Tavlin barricade was blocking her senior customers from being able to get to her store, and they stopped coming to her. They all feel there was no point coming tonight because they've already written in, they've already appeared, and they don't understand why you're asking them back. I have to say, everybody says they love outdoor dining. I was taking pictures for 2 years. Brasserie was always packed, and if you love outdoor dining at Brasserie, that's great. Same thing with Angelique's. The rest of the places were pretty empty, or they had high school kids there who were just kind of hanging out in they're not necessarily customers of the eateries. So the businesses think they have already stated their opinions. They were not really interested in a third time coming in.
Okay. Other comments from council members?
So, Mr. Mayor, I was just wondering, for the purpose of tonight, yeah, I wasn't sure, like, the purpose of tonight, are you trying to determine within the council if the majority of us want to continue outdoor dining or not? Is
Correct.
that?
That's the whole-
Gotcha,
that's the purpose.
okay.
And Jimmy has a comment to
If
make.
I, just to add to that, yes, because the businesses, to be fair, they do want to be able to prepare or not, because if they're going to spend a couple $1,000s, yeah, it's only fair. And then to add to kind of just everything, just kind of the administrative end of it, if we were, my recommendation is if you were to implement it at this point, if you want to implement the outdoor dining in the parking spaces, because one, we do allow a process for the sidewalk seating, and there is a fee. While it's a minor fee, there's still a fee attached to that for some administrative, paperwork to be filled out. This is a bit more of a hurdle. It requires equipment use, overtime, labor, and Yes, because they have to come in 5 in the morning while it's clear, the streets are clear, and then same thing for taking them off. So that would, I think it would remain consistent relative to the sidewalk seating in comparison to, the level of service that's being provided.
So you need, as Borough Administrator, an answer tonight, one way or the other?
I mean, you could do it at whatever point. I think it's more beneficial for the businesses, to be honest, than for me. I mean, it would be beneficial too, because then I would have to then reach out and provide packets and paperwork, and figure, just kind of get all of our ducks in a row. But it's more for the businesses, just so they can make their purchases and planning or not.
All right. So any other final comments from council members? Vanu, Jeff?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we have a closed session.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Can we, put some of these on another?
We can. Let's close this and we'll hit on that. Jeff?
Yeah, the only, and I appreciate the comments. Thank you for coming tonight. I was one of the ones who said it would be nice to have the opportunity to have businesses weighed in. And I think it's interesting that there isn't that way in, but to Christine's point, we have heard from businesses. And I think, look, I hear different things from residents. I hear some who I want to dine outdoors, and it's not like we've never provided outdoor dining. There is sidewalk dining, it's just how much room. And maybe people can work out deals for other parts of sidewalks that are not really businesses that operate in the evening. That's a possibility.
Tavlin did that.
Yeah, so it's been done, it can be done. But I also hear from residents who, I can't find parking, I want to get my nails done, my hair done. We already have the hair salon, I don't even know what's going on with that, next to the senior center, but that one's closed, and people don't want to go. They're not shopping in Tenafly. The thing that draws is not just restaurants, but coming here for purposes, and we're basically telling those businesses, you don't count as much. And I'm hearing that from residents, that they just don't want to deal with scrambling for the few spots when we're taking away some. So I have to say, our job is not to select and help one sector in the economy at the expense of another sector. Our job is to provide the best all-around services. And unfortunately, to Abraham Lincoln's point, you can please some of the people all the time, some of the time, but you're not going to please all the people all the time. So this is a tough decision, but I think we've provided outdoor dining for decades. And we accommodated, which we had to do, and I think it was great that we did during the pandemic. As we're coming off the pandemic, this isn't working for all of our businesses, and we have to be cognizant of that. And we've heard from them. They have come here several times in different businesses. So it's something that we have to really look at. How do we provide the outdoor, maybe extend sidewalks, as I said. This summer, I don't think anyone's going to the movie theaters. Maybe they can work out a deal with that part of the sidewalk. I'm not even sure who controls sidewalks, whether they're public realm or not, our decision to make, but there's a lot of space there that's underutilized.
All right, so let's go around the table. Julie, what's your?
I vote to not extend the outdoor.
I can't hear you.
To not extend the outdoor dining.
Adam?
No businesses showed up.
That speaks for itself, in other words. Right. Vanu?
Not extend.
Absolutely to extend, especially for a business like Mel's, who relies on that and has a huge bustling outdoor business where the kids go after school and it's a safe space to hang out and they're not in CVS and it's a wonderful, safe, healthier environment outside. Absolutely will support the outdoor dining. If we need to tweak it, we'll keep tweaking it. But I think that's a huge disservice to both our residents and our businesses to turn it down.
Jeff?
As I said, I think we're doing a disservice to some of the businesses and our residents. I also agree that the spots are public spots, not private. So
Dan, you're on the same.
Do not extend.
All right, so are people able to people are able to rent the sidewalk space?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And
We
now,
have an existing ordinance that predated the pandemic that provides for the ability to do sidewalk seating.
Okay.
So what happens to, so
Sidewalk, not
the
parking lot.
only additional, there's a couple that, again, they have their own.
Parking lots,
parking
Axia,
lots,
130
that's
Club.
What happens
You
now
can't,
eventually?
so with people that are utilizing their own space, based on the statute, you can't force them to take it down. You
But
can,
Angelique is not that example, they
That's
took out the
ours.
parking spot.
Angelique is not that example, that's up to the council to decide how the parking spots are being utilized.
But it's gonna be just a, you know, one.
Well, that's our property, that's a
Correct.
different decision.
No, it's not that, it's a different setup because of the way the parking spots are. It's not next to other businesses, so that's something you all
Right.
should probably discuss and decide.
Right now?
But I
that's-
would not suggest now because
Yeah,
it's
we're running out of time.
9:57 and you haven't gotten halfway through your agenda yet.
So Angelique would stay at status quo. We could put her on the next council meetings and discuss.
And give them notice that we're discussing it, please.
Sure, we can let them know, sure.
Maybe I'm out before the open here, but can you please think in the future to extend the sidewalk? Extend the sidewalk.
But that's a whole nother, that's a major question that we couldn't
Making
even,
a donation?
yeah, that's a major, we can't get into that tonight, yeah. All right. All right, let's go, thank you for being here tonight, Thomas. All right, we'll move on to the next topic, solid waste contract. Jimmy, why don't you walk us through that quickly?
Do we
very
need to
brief.
talk this one tonight?
It's very brief.
It's very
Just-
brief.
I updated
Okay.
just a line version of this contract based on if we were to move on an April 18th authorization to bid. That's why the April 21st date is on there. So it's just, please at the next meeting, provide any comments after your review.
Right.
That's it.
Can you put it again on the next?
Of course.
attach it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
at the
of course.
next meeting, we're gonna be asking for a consensus to go out to bid on this.
Yep, that's it.
All right, police hiring update.
Yes, at the police commission meeting, we were informed, and of course, administratively, and we were informed of a retirement of a long-tenured officer, which will be happening August. So the chief sought permission, and we're here to seek permission, if the chief could go out now to try and fill the space in line with the police academy. This would be net positive to our budget since we have a sergeant rank officer coming off the rolls mid-year, or, at some point in the year with a patrol level officer coming on. So there would be net positive impact to the budget. So that permission was sought from the chief and is coming to the council for permission to be able to, for the chief to begin that process.
So, just a question. Budget season starts this coming week. Is that something that we can wait till this coming week to discuss? So that we can look at his entire.
You could look at it Friday, is that an issue?
I mean, he,
I think the academy's June 1, so you just want to make sure you have enough time to go through.
Right, but that's
the
plenty of
process.
time.
So we do it this Saturday, which is 4 days from now. Right?
Do you have to do,
I'm not sure when
4
the
days from
school
now
is-
is fine, but I just didn't know
I
if
don't
you
know
have
what
to
is his
do a
deadline. I mean, he
full-
has to,
It's not
But
this
Jimmy,
week.
are you still operating off the last round list, or do you
Yes.
have to go? Okay, so you have 4 days, should be fine.
yeah, I just don't know the deadline because also there is timing for the candidate who we're looking at from the last round was the next highest ranking candidate, who is a current officer elsewhere. So figuring the timing of the resignation there, and then also since he has certain credentials, we would seek permission permission so he doesn't have to go through the entire academy here, since he has some credentials already in education and training. So that's all part of it, but if the council wishes to wait
Sooner
until
the better
during the
for
budget
this
hearing.
office, the candidate, sooner the better.
So let's talk about it on Saturday.
I'm not sure.
Or April 2nd so can it wait till April 2nd?
Now we're starting to push it.
Well, we have another meeting March 21st.
So fine.
I gotta ask.
I'm sorry, so there is a candidate that's.
There was a list made from last round.
Oh,
So Jimmy, let's talk to the chief, find out, and then we could always change some things around, discuss it this weekend.
Okay.
We'll discuss, add it
Has
to
to
the agenda,
physically
we'll talk
be
about
here.
that topic.
Okay.
We'll just move meetings around. Right?
Will do.
Okay. So
The
AA,
last one's fine.
AARP Community Grant Challenge, Community Challenge, excuse me.
So this is a grant that the Senior Services Committee is eligible for. We don't have to be AARP age-friendly, although we are still working on getting that process finalized. But this is a grant. It's a low-level grant. It usually is like $10,000 to $15,000. The Senior Services is meeting tomorrow. We're hoping that you, as the council, allow the Senior Services and our town to pursue this. The idea is the two options that we were sort of putting out there were, one is to assist our homebound and differently abled seniors to have help with home cleanouts and hoarding, which hire a professional company to go help them. And two, there's some transportation, things we're looking at to see whether we're eligible. We do need a van. You can't get a van for it, but you can get an outfitting of a van for like the wheelchair and mobility options. So this is a small grant. We'd like permission to apply. This was flagged by Millennium. It needs the council's permission. And so, any questions?
Council members, how much does it cost to apply for the grant?
Jimmy knows?
2,600.
Yeah, how much is the grant?
10 to 15, right?
Yeah, it depends. They have
Small.
3 subcategories, but yeah, they're.
What's the likelihood that we think we'll get it? Like Closter got it, Cresco got it. We just haven't applied. We've never applied for it.
Could we ask them what they think it is?
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite simple math. I think it's a 50% chance, and it's a $10,000 grant. That's $5,000 weighted average versus $2,600 guaranteed. You start to think, is it really worth it for $1,000?
Well,
versus if it's 80 or 90% chance and it's a $15,000 grant, that's a great use of $2,600.
You can go up to 50,000. We just don't have a project that big, but we can go bigger if the council wants. We were trying to keep it small and succinct.
What's their estimate of what they think it is? Do the math, multiply the two numbers. There's your answer.
But yeah, and also, sorry to interrupt, but there's also a March 15th deadline.
Correct.
So
We have to decide so we have a meeting tomorrow morning.
Yeah. No, understood. I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know.
Let's find out, yeah.
Multiply it by the value of the
Yeah.
grant.
Because it-
Equal that to the $2,600 and see which one's higher.
I mean, we could apply for 50 if you want.
So preliminarily, let's agree that it's something we want to do.
Right, if the math works, right.
Does anyone else? Because
Any other
we're
comments?
meeting tomorrow on this.
It's a preliminary yes.
The money makes sense, it's a yes.
Right.
Jimmy, do you want to join us in the morning for that quick meeting for a couple minutes? Sure. In the morning? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Not, we're moving.
We're going to get to public comment soon.
We're moving.
Okay, the administrator's report is pretty straightforward. You've all seen it, so we're going to skip the discussion in the interest of time. Do you have a copy? I don't know what you have.
Jimmy,
I'm sure, yes.
we talk about some of your grants tomorrow, too.
All right, so let's move on to,
We have correspondence. This Jimmy with Mr. Green.
I'll have Mike still here. Speak to it. Quick. The tree was on the landmark tree list, the borough, it was placed on there back in, I don't know, 2000 something.
And the current resident has got a certified tree expert to look at it, and basically it needs to come down according to the ordinance. You guys have to say yes before I can say yes.
What's your opinion?
It should go.
Defer.
Yeah, so.
okay. Any other questions on this?
Hey, Mike, I know another resident wrote in and asked about that tree stump near the DPW building for correspondence.
That's, you're talking about the one on Columbus?
On Columbus?
It's gone.
done.
It's been gone for a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're good? I can move forward?
Sounds like we're good with this. Do we need Michael?
Just for 50 more minutes.
No, because I have a feeling there's a public comment that might have to.
Okay.
Do you want, can we do a
All right,
public
so
comment?
correspondence, we're going into public comment time. Audience members wishing to speak will have a 3-minute time limit to address the governing body on items on the agenda. Large groups are asked to have a spokesperson represent them.
It doesn't have to be on the agenda, right?
No, it's just, this is just on borough business.
Yeah, borough,
If you wanna
right,
update
go
that
ahead.
on the next one.
Right, on any topic, just on borough business. Go ahead, please.
Christine
Name?
Everon, 39 Leroy Street. Quick suggestion on the senior grant, and I've had several people come up to me the last 2 weeks that they are handicapped now as they're getting older, and they cannot get around our downtown. Could you put
They
in
can't get a
those little...
what downtown? Oh, they can't-
There aren't enough, from their point of view, handicap spots to let them park near where they want to go. Can you look at getting those shopping cart that handicapped people can use in grocery stores and maybe park those at a couple spots around town instead of taking up with handicapped spots? Thank you. That's for that grant.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Les, okay.
Hi, good evening. Michael Bruno, 148 Newcomb Road. I'm a 43-year resident, former police officer and chief of police here. I'm here tonight because I'm having an ongoing issue that I've addressed the council, I've addressed the mayor, and it's not getting resolved. In March of 2019, I contacted the town about removing some dead trees in what I thought was a borough right-of-way that runs behind my home. I'm in multiple meetings with the DPW director, Mayor Rustin, and I was told that the trees would be removed because they were dead. In late August of 19, a tree company came unannounced, cut down one of them, left the larger one, and one on the other side. And I was told that they were supposed to cut them down, but they'll do it when they have time in the fall. That never happened. In spring of 2021, I followed up again, and at that time I was told that the property the trees were located on were not right-of-way, but that they were undeeded property, so it was my responsibility to take them down, the remaining trees. After numerous calls and meetings with the new DPW superintendent, I was told they researched the property and confirmed it was not a right-of-way and the town would not remove the dead trees. I was further informed that because I had been maintaining the property for 40 years, it was legally my property and my responsibility. In the interim, another large tree, and I'm talking a large tree, maybe 36 inches around, literally broke in half, crashed through the fence, damaged some property bushes and some statues. I left voicemails for Mayor Zinna, which were never returned, and exasperated, I paid to have the larger trees removed. 2 sections of fence were then put up to complete the fencing around my yard, and some plantings were placed there, and I thought it was all over. In August of 2022, I went on vacation, and when I came back, those 2 sections of fence were gone. And I was told that the construction official approached my adjoining neighbor behind my house and said that they got a complaint about those 2 sections of fence from a resident whose property line is 50 feet from there. And he told them that it was now borough property, and he had to remove those sections of fence. So they took the sections of fence down. I contacted the mayor again, and I sent a letter to every member of the governing body about this, and I said, you can't have it both ways. It's either borough property or it's not. So when I was told that it was my property, I spent the money, I removed the trees, I had the fence put up. Now I'm told it's borough property, and now the fencing has been torn down, and I asked several times, what's going to happen here? Something has to be done. The mayor got back to me on October 11th of last year with an email, and he said, we had a discussion at last week's council meeting. We're having the borough attorney prepare a list of options. We do know that fences are only able to be built on property owners' own property, which the town told me it was when I put it up. We're going to have meetings with all the property owners about the alleys. That hasn't happened. And that the alleyway situation is becoming more of an issue with residents who want certainty for access and maintenance. I can't imagine there's any other residents who put out that kind of money and then had the borough switch its view that this was now borough property and had to take them down. So after not hearing anything from that email, now it's, that was November 4th and it's gone unanswered. We're 4 years into this, and here I am. Frustrated, aggravated, out quite a bit of money, and I have a 16-foot gaping hole in the fence in my yard. What are we going to do about it?
Good question.
Okay, so there is a difference between it not being borough property and it being your property. On the maps, the borough engineer has not, the board engineer certainly came back and confirmed that it is a private driveway access area. It's not the standard width for a road to be dedicated to the borough. You were mistakenly told that it was borough property at the time and that when the tree was taken down. It is not borough property. It is owned by all of the houses that touch upon it have the right of access to it, but it is not necessarily owned by anyone. So if a fence is put up, it's not going to, your fence, you'd have to show a survey to where you put your fence in order to get a permit for the fence, as you're aware. That area is beyond what is surveyed for your deed. However, it is not the borough's property. In your house, I don't believe, and I apologize, I don't know the exact overlay of where your home is, but between the two streets, there is a private driveway, it shows on the subdivision maps, that goes in between Columbus and the next road, or is it Sunset and Columbus? I forget which road comes after which, I apologize. But there is the potential for everybody to have driveway access from the rear of the home coming in that direction. Some houses are still wooded, some houses have paving that probably hasn't been touched since 1960 or 1970 when it was first put in, or whenever it was. But that has been an ongoing known issue for a lot of the homeowners that reside on that street historically. I know you've been there a long time, but there's newer owners that come in and they're doing the same pointing fingers. It's still a private roadway with access for all of the homes that their backyards touch upon it. So
The only
as
issue
far
I
as-
have with that explanation is that the owners that had bought that property all wanted those trees taken down, all wanted that fencing put up, and we got permission to do that, to have the trees taken down, because I was told unequivocally that it's not the borough's responsibility, it's yours, you can do what you want with it. Now, the neighbors, you're saying there's new neighbors that moved in, there's new neighbors behind me, the only thing they've done with that little area of fence between the two properties is dump things there. So there's a huge pile of branches and dumps from the construction that they did on one part of the property. But I have a safety hazard. I've got a huge tree that's broken in half. It's crashed through the fences. I have 6 grandchildren that play in my yard very frequently in the nice weather. I've repeatedly sought some type of advice from the borough. I've gotten conflicting reports, which have cost me quite a bit of money, and I'd like a solid answer on what is going to be done here. I either expect that I'm going to be reimbursed for the tree work that I did and the borough's going to take care of the other trees that are a safety issue, or if they're not going to do that, I expect that the borough's going to put the fence up that you told me I had to take down, which was not true because it wasn't the borough's property.
So are the trees still there now?
No, one of the trees is down. I paid to have another tree down. Now, on the other side of the property, there's 2 more trees. One is gigantic. It literally cracked completely in half and fell into the neighbor's yard, crashed into my yard, knocked down the fencing. I mean, I'm spending thousands of dollars on trees that I don't own.
And this is on the property owned by a company that has long been disappeared.
Correct.
Lauren, go ahead, yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure we can do this, so please excuse me when I ask this question. We have a wonderful tree fund. We've discussed it significantly tonight. Is there any opportunity for us to either reimburse Mr. Bruno for the cost of taking one of these trees down, which he has spent, or 2, use that tree fund in any way to help this situation and clear cut property, or remove the existing trees that are in limbo here? So those are my
The tree
thoughts.
fund is only for planting.
Only for planting, and it cannot be used in this case
For removal, no.
for removal.
The point of the tree fund is to add trees, not to remove them.
Is there anything in our purview that would help resolve the financial thing here, the financial burden here, put on Mr. Bruno on a tree that maybe is a shared tree?
But the bigger question is, what do we do with this property? And is there a way to turn it over to the residents so it's theirs?
Or have one person buy
mean,
it? Or
There's legal processes for acquiring title. Ms. Bruno, if you've been utilizing the property and it's wooded, it's not paved, nobody needs it for a prescriptive easement to get to their driveway or to their garage, there's certainly ways that you could take action to quiet title and make it yours, and then your deed would be revised to include that property.
That doesn't resolve this issue.
That does not resolve this issue. It
No,
just
because the
resolves us-
trees are outside of the width of my property in that dead zone. And the 2 largest ones overhang my property, have already broken in half and are laying in my neighbor's yard. My neighbor, unfortunately, has a severely handicapped husband, and she can't do anything with her property. She's struggling right now, and we help her maintain it. My irritation is twofold. My irritation is that I worked here for almost 30 years and I couldn't get a return call or an email from anybody until I sent letters. I still have not heard back from the construction official because when the fence came down, I placed calls to him, and I know he got the messages because he mentioned to the neighbor, do you know what he's calling about? Because he left messages for me. That's quite irritating to me.
What about?
And now I have a 16-foot gaping hole in a fence that surrounds my yard for no reason. That's my frustration. That's why I'm here. I didn't want to come down here. I've lived in this town and worked in this town for years and I've never asked for a thing. But now I'm frustrated because I'm getting mixed messaging.
Renew, go ahead.
Just on the question of communication, you said you sent an email to everybody on the...
No, I sent a physical letter to every member of the council at the time.
You did.
How long ago?
It was in October.
I can tell you exactly when it was. It was on August 27th.
So I will say, when the lawyer becomes involved, we're not really supposed to reach out directly to the residents if we have a answer from the
I
attorney.
totally get it, but I think 4 years
No,
is a
I would
ridiculous
be-
amount of time. I don't care who the attorney
I
is.
would be beyond frustrated as well, and, apologies, of course, for this situation. We need to find some solutions, because this is not
Yeah, we're
working for
talking-
anyone.
We're talking about it here.
I don't expect you to make a decision now.
No, my question was going to be different than that. Are you available to have a conversation tomorrow morning? Or tomorrow afternoon?
Sometime tomorrow, I have to get home and see. I've been working since 6:30 this morning.
So tomorrow night? What's better for you?
Can I email you when I get home?
Yeah, do you have my cell number?
I probably don't.
I'm going to give you my cell number, you just text me.
Okay.
And then you let me know when you can talk, because we were just talking about something we want to discuss with you tomorrow.
At this point, let me ask you a different question. Can we give permission to replace the fence that our borough took down?
Yeah, we need to have a conversation first that involves the borough attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you've very patiently sat through this meeting, so thank you.
Omar.
Up until now. My patience is waning, I assure you.
Chief, I circled my cell number there. Text me when you're ready to call, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right? Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Chief.
Any other members of the public would like to comment?
Hello again, Eva Lerner Lamb, 221 Devon Road. I have two things. The first one's very minor. I saw on the branding presentation that there was a year in an upper corner that said 1894. Before you do anything, I would just double check that because,
Does it say on it? It is, it's 1894.
January of 1894.
okay, but putting it on that train station could be a problem, just because in the history that we did for the Demarest Lyle House, we did paint analysis of the train station, and the paint on the train station was the same as the paint on the Demarest Lyle House. And the Demarest Lyle House paint was done in 1865 or 1867. So
Could be when it was incorporated.
That's when the town was
Correct.
officially incorporated.
I see, but then putting it on the train station, that's a little weird. Anyway, you
I see
might,
what you're saying.
So you're saying it's
How old is the
implying the
train
train
station?
stations
Not
from
Tenafly, right?
1894.
yeah.
It's really the town itself was incorporated. We have those documents.
Right.
'cause
I get that,
I
but
saw
it's-
those for the
it's-
100-year anniversary,
Uh,
125.
Last night, they told me we should put 16 something, that's technically.
Yeah, when you,
Town was founded,
anyway, you might want to just
First
look
shovel
at
maker,
that.
first
That's a
farm.
very minor point.
That's an interesting thing.
The major point I wanted to make, and I'm sorry I rambled on and I wasn't able to close the loop on that. The reason I was mentioning about the soil plan, I was trying to make the match between the lack of soil plan and control for new construction, especially on hilly slopes, and the new infrastructure law. Because the 1.2 trillion can be used for water control and dam hazard and earthquake reduction. And if the town could get together with the Bergen County Soil Control District, you might be able to actually come up with a plan, and I would keep it high level and a big dollar amount to try to get some infrastructure funding from this 1.2 trillion and maybe solve 2 or 3 problems at the same time. That's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any members of the public? Any other members of the public like to speak here? Omar, is there anyone out there in Zoom land?
There are no hands, Mayor.
Okay. All right, we're going to close public comment. Consent agenda. Any questions about the consent agenda? No? Go ahead. Jeff, please.
Just a real quick one. On the Resolution 23114, which, since Mike is here and it involves his truck, is the cost of the substitute truck the same as the original? The 250 is being substituted with a 350. Is that the same number?
Technically, the number is a little bit less, but it's budget 43,000 for the truck.
Okay, so it's within the same. Fair enough, that's all I need. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about the first set of the consent agenda? No? All right, can I get a motion to approve R-23-104 through R-23-118? So moved. Can I have a second?
Second.
Omar, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, any questions about the resolutions, R-23-57 through 122? Oh, okay, so you notice the difference numbers. I'll read them all up differently. But anybody have any questions about any of those resolutions? No questions, okay. Can I get a motion to approve resolution R-23-57, 58, 91, 99, 119, 120, 121, and 122?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay. Move, we're gonna move, unless there's a great disagreement, we're gonna move old business to the next meeting.
The only thing I would say about that is the naming committee came up with guidelines and also just a suggestion for the naming of the dais. So I didn't
The
know.
name of the what?
This
Dais.
dais, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. I was happy I spelled it right, though.
So I think, can't that wait till the next meeting?
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to have, particularly with the plaque, though, I didn't know if you wanted to proceed with ordering it. That was all I was saying.
I think it could wait till the next meeting.
Then I'd like to request that everybody really reads the guidelines in advance of the
That's
next
a
meeting.
reasonable request.
Thank you. That'd be nice.
Okay. Any questions about the minutes to be approved? All right, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 24th, 2023, and February 7th, 2023, both the mayor and council meeting and the closed session?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, anything for the good of the order? Any questions on upcoming meetings? Jimmy, or statements?
Nope.
Okay, any questions about the introduction of ordinance 2301? No?
If I may,
Go ahead.
Sorry, that, usually after we adopt the contracts, we also have to do a corresponding ordinance, which is this.
Okay, Dan, would you like to make this motion?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 2301 and set the hearing for March 21st, 2023 at 8
Second.
p.m. or soon thereafter.
Second.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I second.
Oh, Julie seconded.
Julie already
Yeah, sorry. And then
Julie
he said, "Can I have
seconded?
a second?"
Okay, please call the roll, Omar.
I have to read it into the record, Mayor.
Read into the record and call the roll.
Sure. Ordinance number 23-01 is an ordinance to fix the salary, wage, or compensation of school crossing guards of the borough of Tenafly in the county of Bergen and the state of New Jersey for the calendar years 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yeah.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Everything's approved. Okay, thank you, Omar. All right, hold on one
I
second.
just actually wanted the committee, I know we probably will skip it, I just want to tie something back, though. Quick comment?
Go ahead.
We voted to award contract for the annual fireworks display.
Yes.
And as part of Tenafly Presents, I do want to say that that will be on Saturday, July 8th, so the weekend following the 4th. And we are going to have a concert that will be family-oriented. It's going to be Divinity Rocks, who has appeared before, but she's appearing this time with her latest children's album, for which she was nominated for a Grammy. She didn't get, but she was a Grammy nominee, and she's going to be doing the children's album as her concerts. Very family-oriented, and we are 98% done with all the concert planning for the summer. We know who's appearing in almost every one of them. It's a great lineup. That's it. I'll leave you wanting more in that report.
Okay, thank you, Chip.
Just another quick thing, because we spoke about it for the upcoming meetings. I know we have a budget meeting, just two things. One is, we just make sure that in the budget books, we had the the agenda on the first page, Susan. Is that still valid? Because I asked Jamie, and she said things have already started to move around.
I have copies for all these.
So if you could just update us on we just
Like
tweaked
who's
some
coming
of it. And then the second thing, if I could ask the team, so unfortunately, I'm traveling for work, but I'm happy to dial in at 3 o'clock in the morning. But if we can do the meeting in the committee room, we expect a lot of public
Yes.
attendance at 9 o'clock on Saturday. It would just be a lot easier to hear, so if we could do that. Thank you.
I can't do the budget books up here. It has to be in that room.
Great, thank you.
But safe travels.
Okay, we're going to move the rest of the committee reports to next week, and we wanted to talk about, at this point, HR team, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we've gotten resumes in regarding the filling of the HR candidate's role. So is there anyone interested in being on the committee to review the resumes? So we've got 2, 3. You're interested also? Sure. So I guess the 3 of you can. What? Go ahead.
I was just needing some names, so, because of my back is to.
Yeah, no, we're still, I'm still getting clarity on exactly who wants to do it. There's no reason why 3 can't, right? Okay.
See why not?
Yep, so we've got Vanu, Jeff, and Lauren are on that committee.
What?
That means I cannot, that's fine. Okay. That's all I wanted to talk about in my mayor's remarks. And we're going to go into closed session now, Counselor?
It's Resolution R23-123. At a meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on March 7th, 2023, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain matters which are exempted from the public. Be it resolved that in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters, falling within the attorney-client privilege. One being affordable housing litigation update. 2 is real property monopole lease, negotiations for a shared service agreement, and 4 is potential litigation for 2 labor and employment matters. Additionally, there's matters that fall under the collective bargaining exemption, and that is the Department of Public Works Foreman's Labor Negotiations Update. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time when the matter is resolved.
Have a motion to go into close, please.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
9 months.